Shabbat Shalom, everyone. To the members of our congregation here, and then also to the members online. We're going to be getting started in another 10 minutes. We had told our viewing audience and our congregation we would start at 10 o'clock today, but as usual, we as Israel, we're going to get started at 10:30. So praise Almighty Yah for another day, and please stand by. Hallelujah.
child of the team. You made me stuff line. Rolled up and then called and so they say so I got much respect for little sister. sometimes the devil, I have to put on the devil, but maybe he can make you feel like we're not worthy, like we're not doing the right thing, or we beat up on ourselves. But when you put that aside, God's word that says, when your ways please Yah, you'll make even your enemies at peace with me. And when I'm telling you this, my boss says, hey, she was offering me overtime on Monday because she know I can't, I'm going to take advantage of that mess they have on Saturday. So she offers me during the week. However, however, because I explained to them on my first day on my interview what I believe in, and I knew this day was coming up, that hey, I'm gonna need these days off, but she was already over there on Monday, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then she reminded me, wait a minute, that's the same day your thing is on. I was like, wow, yeah, it sure is. And she says, you know what? If you guys spot the new moon this weekend, then just shoot me a text Sunday, and I'll know you won't be there. If I don't hear from you, then I'll see you Monday. I was like, sounds like a plan. Now, if that ain't God's mercy, and if that's not a confirmation for me, yeah, your ways are pleasing to God, or some of them, or that day anyway. See what I'm saying? You have to take that. I take that as a really a boost of esteem, self-esteem. Like, okay, y'all finds glory in me. He's causing my enemy. You know what I'm saying? And because other than that, that spirit of depression can come on you, self-doubt, self-loathing, and you have to shake it away. But now, what are you saying? Before you, I see you've been showing me slaves and children about to take that over. You show me something negative to me. About your heart.
Okay.
Can you let them know we're about to start? People outside.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. All praises to the mighty Yah. We're just waiting for a couple elders that are trying to make their way into the congregation, and then we're going to go ahead and start our service. As you all know, yesterday in Jerusalem, the new moon was sighted by multiple resources. And that gave us the heads up, since Jerusalem is 6 hours ahead, and Israel, that region, is 6 hours ahead of us. So we were able to get the message out to everyone, and not only to us, but all the Israelites that I know across the nation are in sync today, with the exception of maybe a few that see things a little different. But one thing that we can do is we have to consistently pray to the Almighty for unity. The Almighty said, gather my people together and gather my saints together, and we're going to go over that a little bit today. We also going to talk about Yah's feast day and one of our Sabbaths, which is the day that we're gathering together today, which is the Feast of Trumpets. And the Feast of Trumpets is a great day. Yah commanded that we have a memorial of blowing of trumpets, because this is, and we're going to talk about what this day is for. We're going to start officially in a couple minutes, but just as we talk here, there are two things that the Feast of Trumpets were for. The trumpets were blown as a sign to let Yah's people know that Yah was ready to meet with them. So to be ready to meet with your Maker, and especially on good terms, that's a great thing, and something greatly to be celebrated. The second thing that the Feast of Trumpets were for, hallelujah, was for when our people were in trouble. Yah said, get you a trumpet and blow the trumpet. And when you blow that trumpet, I'm going to hear that trumpet, and I'm going to come and what? I'm going to come and help you, and I'm going to come and save you. In other words, this was our direct communications with the Almighty. To let him know, you know how you have a baby, right? And how do a baby let you know that they're in distress?
They sound the alarm.
They sound the alarm, they cry. And this is what Yah gave us trumpets for, to sound the alarm, to let him know. It was a sign of communication between him and his people. To let him know and to let the people know, number one, that Yah was ready to gather with his people on his special days. And then it was also for, hey, Yah, I need some help. Yah, my enemies are oppressing me. Yah, they trying to kill us. And then we blew the trumpet, and Yah came and saved us from our enemies. So that's what we are here today for. We're gathered here together for this great holy day, which Yah commanded us to keep. And those that truly love Yah, and those that, number one, truly love Yah and have the ability to keep this day, because there's some people that may be bound away by uncleanliness. And we're going to also speak about that, because there's also confusion, as has been throughout the years, about uncleanliness. And that's one of the toughest subjects that our people have dealt with throughout the years, being unclean. When if we just trust in Yah, it's very simple. And we're going to try to simplify that today. We're going to try to simplify. So don't think because you have an issue with it, and sometimes it's hard to understand, that you have a problem. No, our people have had problems with the laws of uncleanliness all throughout the generations. And all throughout the 30-something years that I've been in the knowledge of Yah, our people have had issues with those laws. But we're going to try to simplify today. And sometimes they said if you just keep it simple, and if we just keep it simple and try to bring an understanding to it that's simple, then I think that we'll be able to have better clarity on that. And hopefully we'll be able to ingrain it in our minds permanently. But on that note, now that the majority of us are here, let us rise and let us face the east. And what we're going to do is we're going to recite Yah's the 10 commandments that Yah wrote with his fingers on a tablet of stone. Hallelujah.
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 All right. And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yah, thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yah, thy Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain, for Yah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yah thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. And he rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yah thy Elohim giveth thee. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah!
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 Praise the mighty Yah, for Yah is righteous all the time. Hallelujah! Praise Yah. Give Yah a round of applause. Hallelujah. How can we not give Yah a round of applause? Number one, he's your maker. He's your creator. He has blessed you. He blessed you to know his name. He knows your name. He blessed you with his anointment. He blessed you with his spirit. He blessed you with his shield of protection. And we're going to not praise Yahweh. We're going to be slacking our praises to Yahweh. All that he has done for us. And suppose he will turn his back on us. And suppose that when we cry, he stopped answering us. How will we feel about that? So we got to call upon Yah while he is near. And we got to put more soul into Yah, y'all. And Elder Clinton said he get up here and he said he preached. I'm going to preach today. Because that's what we do. We're supposed to preach good tidings unto the meek. And that good tidings are supposed to make us, what is that good tidings supposed to do? It's supposed to make you feel good inside. It's supposed to make you feel joyful in the mighty Yah.
Make you stand out. Hallelujah.
And make what?
Make you stand out.
Make you stand out. Make you stand up. Make you shout.
Raise your frequency.
Raise your frequency. Make you feel good inside.
And
And that's how we supposed to feel about the Most High.
hallelujah.
All he done for us. He girded you when you were asleep last night.
Yes, he did.
He woke, like they say, I know the Christians say this, but I'm going to say it. He woke me up this morning and he started me on my way.
Yes, he did.
Yahweh is blessing me when? Every day. All the time.
Right on time.
Day and night. Let's go to the book of Psalms, the 50th chapter. I don't know about y'all, but, and I do know about y'all because I hear them praises this morning. And see, we got to teach the world how to praise Yah. And the Christians out there teaching us how to praise JC. Ain't that something? You see how they jump up and down and how they praise, they put an emphasis on how they praise they God, a picture of a man. And we got the true and living Elohim.
Right.
Come on now.
We want to praise him when he do something good for you, then we want to praise him, right? But when we feel that we ain't, and see the thing about it, we not acknowledging our blessings. Because y'all doing something good for us all the time.
All the time.
Psalms the 50th chapter. And one of the things we got to do is we got to stop putting our emotions ahead of the word of Yah. We got to put the word of Yah at the forefront. That's the first thing. That's what comes first.
Hallelujah.
Psalms 50, and we're going to start in the first verse. Psalms 50, and we're going to start in the first verse. It says, the mighty Elohim, even Yah, have spoken, and have called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, Elohim have shined. And this is where Yah's place is at. This is the mountain that Yah loves more than any other mountain is Mount Zion. And see, people don't believe, well, Yahweh can love people, certain people more than he loves others. Don't you love certain people more than you love others?
Yeah.
Where do you think we got that from? Because Yahweh loved certain, like he said, he loved Mount Zion. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty Elohim has shined. And who do y'all love? Y'all said, we just read in the Ten Commandments, where he said, showing mercy unto thousands of them that what? Love me. And what? And keep my commandments. So you think that y'all, the people who don't keep God's commandments gonna get the same favor as those that do? No way. Y'all said he showed mercy unto thousands of them that love him. And how do you show y'all? You love him.
By being obedient.
By being obedient. How do you show that you don't like him? By despising his word. The Almighty tell us that we're supposed to be here for a holy convocation, and we agree, we said we're going to be there for a holy convocation. We got to be timely about that. And I see y'all are more timely than others, but we got to start being about it, y'all.
Right.
We got to start being about it. When it comes time for work, when we go in, what time people go in? They say be there at 8, what time you going to be there? Huh? You be there at 8, you be there at 8:05, you might be there at 8:15, but you ain't gonna be there at 12:15. And see, this is the same way y'all gonna look at us as well. Like, how much did this person love me? You know, we sort of get joy when we come here. And one of the things that we have to start doing as a people, we have to start making each other feel more joy. And that's one of the things that I'm committing myself to do. As I get up here and teach, I want to spread more joy to you all. Because I want people to feel good when they come in here. Unfortunately, people ain't gonna always feel good. Because the Almighty also tell us to what? Cry loud, spare not. And when you see people destroying themselves, sometimes you gotta step up and say something. Do y'all know there's a law on that?
Yes.
That we're gonna cover in just a minute. No, we're gonna cover it right now.
Okay.
Let's go to the book, hold on.
You know where that law at? In the book of Exodus. See the Exodus or Leviticus.
Let's go to the book of...
Just go that way.
Leviticus, the 19th chapter. I don't know how I let that slip by me. Let's go to Leviticus 19, and we're going to come back to this Psalms, the 50th chapter. Leviticus 19 and 17. 19 and 16. 19 and 15.
19 and 11.
Well, this is what we'll do. We're going to read 19 and 17, and then we'll come back and we're going to read all of these a little later. But 19 and 17 says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. And what does that mean? You should not hate your brother in your heart. In other words, you should not bear grudges. You should not despise your brother in your heart. And each and every one of us know when we hate somebody in our heart, because that feeling comes up. And it shows through your actions. Then it also says, thou shalt in any wise, what? Rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So in other words, if there's something that's got swine in it, and we know that it got swine in it, we supposed to let our brother know, like, hey brother, that right there, you know, you might want to check that out. I think that there's a possibility that got swine in it. But for some people, what? I was just about to eat this. I was just about to sink my jaws into that. And some people get very offended about that. Now I think it's all about how we do it too. That's one thing we got to do. We got to start learning how to talk to one another. We got to start learning how to correct one another as well. You know, and we got to also show compassion when we speak to people and how we speak to people. But in any event, it says, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So if you see your neighbors going into the way of destruction, you see your neighbors not keeping Yahweh's Sabbath day, you see your neighbors going out partying on Yahweh's Sabbath day, you see that your neighbors is not keeping Yah's holy convocation because they got a personal problem with somebody, or because somebody made them mad, or this person just made me mad. We gotta be able to look past all of that stuff, y'all.
Right.
We gotta be able to look past, number one, our emotions, and be able to do that which pleases Yah. But it says, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So we're supposed to be able to come to our neighbor and talk to our neighbor. And when I say that, and talk to them about what they're doing wrong. And that's why it should not only be the mores that's up here teaching. We talked about community integrity the other day, right? So it should not just be the mores that should be teaching this law and exalt this law, but it should also be everybody. That's how we preserve the integrity of our community. But it says, you shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. And when you rebuke your neighbor, we also supposed to keep ourselves in good stance with one another, in good relations with one another. So when we talk to people, when we deal with people, we're supposed to be able to come at them with love, come at them in a way to where we can help them to change, and not that we necessarily being critical. You understand what I'm saying? That sometimes when we get up here and speak the law, y'all, we gotta be critical. So you gotta weigh it out. You know, it's gotta be weighed out. But in short, what I'm trying to say, as we deal with one another, we can't be offended so much all the time, especially if somebody's trying to tell you something for your own good. I know for me, I sat out in that audience for years and years, and Brother Dan used to get on our tail about all kind of stuff. Maria Alicia used to get on us about all kind of stuff. And what do? Those whose the law of Yahweh was grievous unto them, they just like, you know, they left. And that's why the scripture says, rebuke a wise man and he'll what? He'll love you. Well, it might anger you a little bit in the beginning, but then you come back and say, you know what, that person is right. I do need to chill out. I do need to get my act together. You know, so we should always have ourselves in a place to where we can communicate with one another. And that goes for me as well. If any of you all feel with me, just because I stand up here, if it's something that I need to correct within myself, it's nothing but a conversation. It's a conversation of clarity, so I can explain and say, well, this is why I may do this. Or it's a conversation that may say, you know what, I didn't realize I did that. Or maybe I lost control of my spirit, and I need to watch out and I need to make that change. But we are always supposed to be in a position to where we are willing to make that change. That's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way you're going to grow. We should never stay the same all the time. And the scripture says the path of the just are as the what? Shining light. That does what? Shine what? More and what? And more and more. So we always supposed to be seeking for personal advances. We always supposed to personal advances with Yahweh and seeking to get better and to get stronger with Yah, not get weaker, but to get stronger. Let's go back to that Psalms 19.
I thought it was Psalms 15.
Psalms 15, sorry, you're right. 50. Psalms 50. Yeah, we're going to take questions a little later. Oh, go ahead. You got a question on or a comment on something we just spoke about?
Yes, I do. I want to praise the Most High because for the last few days I've been feeling really, really sick. Like when I try to walk, I keep feeling like I'm going to pass out. But I'm trying something this morning, and I just want to thank God for allowing me to be able to be here and honor His holy day. You just don't know what people are going through. I just don't know what it is and what's going on. But I'm just thanking y'all for His strength, His guidance, and His protection. I gotta say it. I gotta put it out there. and say, hallelujah, I thank you, Yah. Hallelujah, I thank you.
Hallelujah. Praise Almighty Yah. And this is what we're supposed to be here to do, is to exalt Yah. We're in Psalms 50 and the 3rd verse. Psalms 50 and verse 3. It says, our Elohim shall come and shall not keep silence. And a what? A fire shall devour before him. I just can't stress enough about how, if we anger and how furious Yah can be. Yah can be very furious, and that's some of the things that we got to remember. And Yah is going to be furious. It says, a fire shall devour before him. It shall be very tempestuous round about him. In other words, it's going to be enfolding within itself when Yah come back. It says, he shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth that he may judge his people. And Yah is going to judge his people, y'all. Yah is going to judge each and every one of us. And that's why it's incumbent on each and every one of us to try to get our acts together now. I know sometimes people think that I'll be hard on people when I be up here, but I'm sure that we would rather hear it from little old me than hear it from Yahweh. Because we got some terrible times coming, man. That Yah has just been putting that spirit on me to let us know that we got some terrible times that's coming. The more I watch the news, the more I see what's going on in the world, not just what we see on our little reality shows and on our ESPNs and all that. I'm talking about what's going on with world relations around the world. The more I see this destruction, and Yah is near. And I really beg of each and every one of you to start paying attention to these things so that we can start understanding that the world don't just evolve around the four corners of the wall in which we stand in. Yahweh's world this is a big place. And when Yah starts stirring up nations and doing various things out in the world, it's a clear sign that his book is about to come true. That his prophecy is about to be fulfilled. His word is in motion. The 5th verse said, and he said he's going to judge his people. He's going to judge his people. And that's why it says Yah tries us to know whether we will keep his commandments or no, I'm going to do my own thing. And it's sad that how our people put everything else before Yahweh. Everything goes before Yahweh. The 5th verse says, gather my saints together unto me. And this is who Yah is going to gather. And I remember Moray Dan used to always speak about this. Gather my saints together unto who? Unto who? And how do we gather Yah's saints together unto him? First of all, it starts with the holy convocations. That's where it started at. That's the holy gatherings of Yah. Gather together my saints. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by what? By sacrifice. It means you giving something up. You giving that sleep up. Oh, I was tired this morning. I didn't feel like getting out of bed. I'm tired every morning. When we get up to go to work, we tired, ain't we? When you wake up out of your sleep, you tired because you just got finished sleeping. You got to break through that, right? Who don't wake up and just, you coming from out of a sleep. That's why you tired. But we got to learn to give Yah all we got. You ever been late to work before and you get up and you look at that clock and you realize you about an hour late? What you do, bro? What you say? You do what? You jump up like, I got to get out of here. It's going to be a day when it comes to dealing with Yah. Yah going to show people, I ain't playing. And we going to be here early. That's why it says that they should early inquire of Yah. There's a scripture I'm going to find out. I'm going to find. I got to let it come to my mind. But it just tells how when the Almighty start putting his hand to work, then they inquired of him what? Early. They inquired of him early, not late. There's going to be a day when you're going to see people outside waiting an hour before class start. An hour before the service, because Yah said that when he started doing his work, we're going to say, Elohim, I wish it was morning. It's morning, Yahweh, I wish it was evening. When it come evening, dang, I wish it was morning. Yes, ma'am.
Shalom, family. I want to make a comment, and it's appropriate because we're approaching our Holy Day of Atonement. I have to apologize to Yah because of just what you said. You know, most mornings I get up and I'm ready to be there. In fact, I'm one of the people, I have to be there at 10:30. I'm usually there before 10, and this is at work. But I owe Yah an apology even for today because I let my spirit mumble. Man, I could have stayed asleep longer. This ain't no work day, this is this. But we're mumbling against Yah. We're not mumbling against you, we're mumbling against Yah. And Yah remembers that. The keeper of covenants hears that, and he brings that to memory. And even though most of us may not think that that's a big thing, we read about what he did to Miriam and Aaron, just for murmuring against Moses, but it wasn't against Moses, it was against Yah. So for me, my comment today is, Yah, I apologize for murmuring about your holy day today. You know, what was like, sometimes we have to hear it to bring the seriousness of it to the forefront of your mind. Hey, this is a holy day. How dare you mumble against my day and you want me to wake you up tomorrow?
That's deep.
So I offer a sincere apology to Yah. And that's my comment.
Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Because see, Yah don't got to wake you up tomorrow. You're absolutely right about that. And many of us take for granted, yeah, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Nah. I'm just saying, don't take the word of Yah lightly, because Yah can take you young, he can take you old. You know, and that's why we just always got to do our best, because we never know when our time going to be up. And at least you want to say, you know what, I did my best. When you go for Judgment Day, at least you can try to say that, yeah, I did try my best. You know, I may have fell short sometime, and we are going to fall short. But at least you can have more good points than you got bad points. And see, something the sister said was very important about them murmuring against Moses. And she was saying that their murmurs were not against Moses, they were against Yahweh. See, the important thing that people got to understand about that is that they murmured against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he married, because Moses represented Yah in the law of Yah. And see, they didn't like that. They felt it was a threat. And that's a problem when people feel that a person is a threat because they represent that which belongs to Yah. That could be a threat in a good way or a threat in a bad way. A threat in a way to where, you know what, I'm going to get my act together. You know, that's a different kind of threat. But when people look at it from a threat of, well, this person is, you know, mean and wicked or whatever and blah, 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 because you represent the word of Yah, that means that you actually rejecting Yah. And because of what that person is speaking or what that person is standing for, you have some hard feelings against that person. 5th verse says, gather my saints together unto me. Those that have made a covenant with me by what? Sacrifice. So one of the things that we got to remember is that we always, in order to get anything, you got to sacrifice. Reuben, in order to get good grades, you got to not only do good in school, but you got to come home and do what? Study and do your what? Do your homework. You got to study and do your homework. Like, man, I've been in school all day and I got to come home and do homework. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And that's the same thing even in our lives and our careers. Sometimes I work all day and I still got to come home and study stuff. If I want to advance myself, if I want to be better, and I don't want to necessarily say better than the next man, but sometimes it is a race out here when you're in these jobs. But it's about you knowing and understanding the information. And it's not being necessarily better than the next person, but it's about being at an acceptable level so that you can come and contribute in the manner that you're supposed to contribute in. Nobody like a teammate that, you know, you're the weakest link. Right? You on a football team, this person is the weakest link. Every time you throw him a pass, he drop it every time. So you know what? You ain't gonna throw the pass to them. You ain't gonna throw the ball to them. In basketball, the same thing, right? Every time you pass the ball to this person, they try to go for it. They always try to go for 3-pointers and can barely hit 2-pointers. So we got to learn how to play the game. We got to learn what life is about. You know, life is about putting forth. How do y'all think, like, for example, how do you think civilizations advance? It's by people who put forth their minds to great knowledge and make advancements in certain areas. Do y'all want a doctor that's ain't been doing his homework and been bootlegging and not doing, you want the best doctors, right? If you ever need a lawyer, you want the best lawyer, right?
Yes.
You don't want no half-baked lawyer. You don't want no half-baked doctor. They don't even know how to get your blood pressure, even though the doctors don't take the blood pressure. But I'm just saying, you go into the doctor's office and they try to take your blood pressure, and they can't get the blood pressure reading, then the nurse come and say, here, let me do it for you. And the nurse come in and she take the blood pressure and get the reading. What you gonna think about that doctor? Huh? Like, no. Y'all gotta give me somebody else. So we want to try to be the best we can be. And we also want to be the best servants we can be. When we come in here, we want to be making a joyful noise unto y'all.
Hallelujah.
We want whatever skill you got, you have to put that skill towards serving y'all. That's what it means to be a servant. You serving Yahweh. And the question that we want to say, how are you serving Yahweh? You are serving Yahweh by keeping his laws, but that ain't all that's got to do with Yahweh's service. And when you keep the law, you benefiting yourself. Like, y'all keep the law because that's what Yahweh told me to do. But when you serving Yah, you putting in that extra work. You putting that work in for Yah. Like, yeah, I'm gonna serve you, Yah. I ain't gonna just clean up the house. I'm gonna get in the corners and clean in the corners. You know how some people clean up, they just clean on the surface? You know what I mean? You gotta get in them corners and clean.
You gotta lift it up.
You gotta lift furniture up sometime. And that's what we have to do with our spirit. Sometimes we gotta dig deep. We gotta dig deep within inside of ourselves and see, how can I contribute to the service of Yahweh? And I praise Yah for some of our youth. Ruben is doing a presentation right now. He said, I'm going to do a presentation on Deuteronomy 28. And he's working on that presentation. We got people that do music. And we want some of the other young sisters, young children in the class, if you want to do a poem, if you want to just read a prayer, a song, we want y'all to praise Yah and participate in that. Because you got to learn to be a leader at an early age. You got to start learning we got to start teaching our children to be leaders. Not just, I'll just do whatever. Nah. We supposed to be the cream of the crop of this world. Israel's supposed to be the cream of the crop. We supposed to be striving for excellence. Some people just strive, just to get by. No, you don't strive just to get by. You strive for excellence. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shalom. In a sense, if we give all our glory to Yah, we're supposed to be living our lives so that, yes, our glory is seen, and somebody will see it and they'll understand that glory is not on me, but that glory goes to my Yah. So they'll be attracted to Yah and start glorifying Yah also.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah. Hallelujah. Okay, at this time, we are going to get into our Feast of Trumpets. Let's go to the book of Leviticus. I'm going to start off in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. I'm going to read a few verses out of here, and we'll come back on this a little later. But then I'm going to call Keem up because he's going to go through some scriptures as well. But let us have a discussion about the Feast of Trumpets, what it is, what it isn't. Well, later we're going to get deeper into that, because what we're also going to do, there were some questions about, can we cook on today? Can we kindle a fire today? Can we do certain things of work today? What kind of work can we do? What kind of work can we not do? Can we come to Yahweh's holy convocation if I'm on my issue? And I'm just asking y'all to think about that. I talked to people and I asked them, can we come to a holy convocation if you are suffering from a running issue? And not suffering because sometimes running issues are just meant to be a purification. You know, and I remember Maury Alicia said, he said, I wish somebody had an automatic purification. The women's bodies, women shouldn't look at it as being a negative way. Women have the Almighty blessed our women with a body that can do miraculous things. And the way that body is, he also made it, he gave them an automatic purification to take care of that special system that he gave them. That special system that he didn't give to a man. So we shouldn't look at it as something bad. You just look at it as a process. That's what it is. It's just a process. And it's a cycle. And it's something that the Almighty gave you to complete yourself. Hallelujah. Let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Leviticus 23, and we're going to start in the first verse. And I'm going to tell y'all another thing. Just because other people don't keep Yahweh's Sabbath day, don't let them hold you back from your blessings. We're not supposed to be followers, y'all. We're supposed to be leaders. If other people not doing it, don't let that deter you. Because there's not 5,000 people in here like it is at Lincoln Heights Baptist or Greater New Mount Zion, whatever they call them churches, don't let that deter you. You got to get in this book and read and understand for yourself and build up your confidence in Yah and let Yah work in your life. And you got to measure, how is Yah working for me in my life? That's another thing. How's Yah work? Is Yah working with me in my life? And until you can acknowledge that, then it's going to be tough for you to serve Yah. And that's why it's tough for some people to serve Yah. They don't acknowledge Yah's presence. They don't behold, it says they do not behold the majesty of Yah. Leviticus 23. King, if you don't mind, read for me. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. That's where we're going to start. And we're going to come back a little later and read this probably again when a little later.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of Yah, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
So this is, what is he about to get into? These are the feasts of Yahweh. These are things that are important to Yahweh. And the question is if Yah is important to you, then won't these things be important to you as well? And I know the answer to you all is yes. But these are the feasts of Yahweh. Even these are my what?
These are my feasts.
Ye shall proclaim to be what?
Holy convocations.
Holy gatherings. And I'm going to tell you another reason why y'all blessed is that the Almighty give us a facility and a place where we can come and have holy convocations. Some people are remote and they in cities where they don't have holy convocations. So that's another blessing that we got here. And it's nothing like being here. I know you can either sat home and watch it on TV, but it's nothing like being what? Here. Because the presence of Yah, this is where we come to meet with our Maker at. This is where we come to tell him, we come to meet with Yahweh here and say, Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we thank you for all that you've done for us.
Everything.
We come to be on one accord to do that, not all spread out everywhere. But I'm just saying, if Yah give you that opportunity, you should be taking advantage of it. Hallelujah. Third verse.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein, It is the Sabbath of Yah in all your dwellings.
So one of the things that I want to explain about some of our holy convocations and our gatherings, the Almighty give us certain holy convocations for specific things. There's certain holy convocations where He say, you shall do no work. And what day is that on? The what?
Sabbath.
The Sabbath. Then there's one that He get more specific. He says, don't do no manner of work. I mean, you better keep it at a minimum. You understand what I'm saying? That's on Yahweh's Day of Atonement. See, so He makes it a level deeper than just the Sabbath day. And not only can you not do any work on the Day of Atonement, but you cannot, we're to afflict our souls. We're to put ourselves that much closer to Yah. When we come with that covenant of sacrifice, those that have made an agreement with me by sacrifice, that Day of Atonement is especially the day, and that's why you see more people in here on the Day of Atonement. Because above all, they know that they fear Yah. I know I might not be here on the Sabbath, but when that Day of Atonement comes, Yahweh say He will cut you off. But He also says rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. So that means that you don't just come on the Day of Atonement. That you also come on other feast days, other days. And I don't want to get into that because we want people to try to do their best when they can. If they feel like doing their best one time a year, I will accept that because that's something Yahweh to accept. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be critical on that. But I'm just saying, it's more than just that one day that if you love Yah. And sometimes you may say, well, I love Yah, but I just don't love them people. And I don't love the way they act. You got to get over that. People that have problems with each other for centuries and centuries. Ask Moses. People that like people for years and years and centuries. But we're not here. If you come here and you be focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, then you'll be all right. But if you come here and you're in the middle of all that other stuff, and you got all that other stuff on your mind, that's where the distractions are at. But if we come with a heart to serve Yah on that day, then that's all that matters. And that's all that should matter. All right, we read about the Sabbath day. Let's go down to, so one thing that I want to say about a feast is a properly appointed fixed time. And that's what our Sabbaths are every week, right? It's a properly appointed, like y'all appointed the Sabbath day. Appointed time. It's a festival too, right? Y'all see how these people get up here and do their music, and you got people who don't even do music, we get back there on the music. Like, yeah, I'm gonna serve y'all today. Y'all might hear me singing sometime, but I can't even sing. But that's what we supposed to do. You're supposed to give it all you got. Give it what you got. It's an appointed time, and it's a time to congregate. That's what a festival is. It's a time to get together. Not a time to spread apart, but it's a time to get together and have a party. That's what it's a party, y'all. It just ain't one of them kind of parties when you all sloppy drunk and No, it's one of them parties when you coming to serve Yahweh. It's a party unto the mighty Yah. It's not necessarily the kind of party that we go to clubs and we looking at all the women. Yeah, it's a party tonight. Yeah. I'm just saying, that's a party for some folks. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're a single man or whatever, you feel me? Or if you're a man looking for, I ain't getting into that. But the point that I want to get into is that when we come to party, this is supposed to be another one of them kind of parties. I'm saying that's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel good about partying to Yah. And if everybody come in here with the right spirit, like y'all would say, don't bring no birds in here. Don't bring no spirits in here. Don't bring no attitudes in here. Come in here with a smile on your face. Come in here ready to deal with one another, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Come in here with positivity. If everybody did that, then we'll all get along. But let one person come in here with an attitude, then what? You got an attitude. I got an attitude too then. You frown at me, I can frown at you too. That's how those things jump off on people, y'all. You want to scrap, I can scrap too. I'm just saying, y'all know how we as black folks are. We don't play. Don't start none, what? Won't be none. So when one person come in here and start something, then people be ready to jump right out. And that's why what I'm going to say that it's important for me and the teachers that come up here to be very positive when we come up here to teach. To try to connect with the people. And Abigail, I'm going to say this again, you wasn't in here. What we were talking about is when we come in here, it's important that we come in here with the right spirit. And I said it's more important that we as the teachers who are at the front of the class that are up here to try to teach the people, that we set a greater example. And it's up for everybody to set a great example, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to especially harp on this now that we have to set a better example. And I know I have to try, the path of the justice as a shining light, that shines what? More. So there's always room for improvement. And what? And more. And if you're not seeking to improve yourself, and that's what I'm saying, that I want to seek to improve myself. I want to seek to improve the quality of our congregation here. And what I'm saying is not only do it start, it starts with everybody, but not only is it important for people, but it's more important also for us as the teachers that stand up here, or anybody that's up here teaching, or anybody with the mic over there, anybody who has the floor. And that's why when we have the mic, we have the floor. And if you want to have conversations in the congregation, and you got something you want to comment on, get the mic, and you can have the floor. But we don't need 5 different conversations popping off when we in the middle of our holy convocation. And this is nothing wrong with saying, you got to go to the bathroom. I'm not talking about talking to somebody and saying, hey, you want some water? I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about getting into full-blown conversations. Because one of the things we got to remember is that people need to focus. And when we deal with the word of Yah, this is a complicated thing here. Y'all know that? Trying to understand the word of Yah, it's very complicated. So we have to be able to give, I remember Moray, Alicia used to always say that we have to make this an environment conducive for learning. Which means that we have to make sure that people are able to sit in a seat and be able to understand what's being taught by the teacher. And not be hearing your conversation in their left ear and what we saying in the right ear. Does that make sense? Also a holy convocation, I'll get to you in 1 minute. Also a holy convocation is a specialized gathering governed by specific criteria. Did y'all get that? It's governed by specific criteria, which means this. There are certain rules, as we said before, shalom, brother, Shabbat shalom. There are certain rules that apply for this day that may be a little different than the Sabbath day. Like, for example, the brothers were bringing chairs in earlier today. Did that brother do know that if it was a regular Sabbath day, we're not going to be carrying no chairs in? If it's the Day of Atonement, you daggone sure better not be carrying no chair. But this is a different day. This is a day that it's a feast day. It's a day that's set aside. But Yahweh commands specifically that we do no servile work, which means that we don't go work for our employers. Can we put a pot of beans on and warm them up and get them ready? Yeah, we can do that. Can a person go out and be merry and get them a little drink or something like that? Yeah, we can do that on this day. Because this is a day of celebration. This is different from a regular Sabbath day. And I'm not going to sit up here and teach nobody nothing wrong now. I ain't going to sit up here and say, well, you can do this when you can't. It's our job to try to make sure that we tell people the right thing. But can a person, anytime we had gatherings, holy convocations, regardless of what it was, the Almighty always wanted the clean and the unclean to be separated, especially in His congregation. And especially during the time of a holy convocation. I'm going to prove that a little later. I ain't going to get into that right now, but I'm going to prove that undeniably. for anybody who, because I know we keep having questions about it. Well, what about on the Day of Atonement and blah, blah, blah. We have people who tell people they can come to Yahweh's sat to the convocation on the Day of Atonement. That's not true. If you're unclean. Now, let me just say this. If we had a separate wing that we can put people in, where we can put a speaker over there, and we had the ability to separate them from the general population, then that would be a different thing. If there was a way that we could put people upstairs maybe, and I know there's times that Moray Alicia in the past tried to do that. They tried to say, well, you know what, on the Day of Atonement, maybe we'll allow people to go up, we'll allow certain women to come in and go upstairs and go into a certain part of the building. But those things have to be worked out. Those things have to be negotiated. Those things have to be specifically understood so that people are separated. So that the items that they sit on are separated. That they don't sit on something and then somebody else come back behind them and sit on something else and it's separated. I mean, and they unclean. But that's something that would have to be discussed, and that's something that I hesitate on because we want to try to keep this building as clean as we can for what we can do. But that's a whole other thing that we would have to sit down, have a discussion about. But we just don't tell people that they can come to a holy convocation while they have a running issue, while they got gonorrhea, while they got some kind of severely contagious disease. No, Yahweh wanted the clean and the unclean separated. Every time we congregated, we came together to exalt our Creator, to exalt His great works, or something that He did that was spectacular. That was the purpose of our holy days. All of it was to glorify Yahweh. And to glorify the things that He did for who? For us. He didn't have to do nothing for none of y'all. For none of us. For Israel, period. But He gave us these holy days so that we'll know, you know what? I'm going to give you a day of rest. I created the heavens and earth to see all that there and all that is therein. It wasn't like the Yahweh said, okay, I'm tired, I need to take a nap. That ain't what His purpose was. The purpose of it was to be refreshed, number one, but it was to have an intermission. And you got to remember, if you knew the science, man spend their entire lifetime just trying to figure out 1 millionth of a science, of all the science that Yah put together. For an example, being a brain surgeon, right? It's impossible, or virtually impossible, for a person to be a brain surgeon and to be an orthopedic doctor or orthopedic surgeon. That's two totally separate disciplines of medicine. Because doing that, being a brain surgeon, is so complicated, you can't mix it. You got to stay focused, focused, focused. I work in certain areas of IT, right? And those certain areas of IT that I work in, just because I'm in IT don't mean that I can do all IT. I got a specific focus that I have to focus on. And in that specific focus, that's what allows me to be a professional in that area. It's to stay focused in that area. Hallelujah. Shalom. We have Mother Glass in the house. Shalom, Ms. Glass. Give her a round of applause. And we thank you for joining us. And we love you very much. Hallelujah. Leviticus. We're in the book of Leviticus 23. Another thing that our holy convocations were meant to be were marked by some event or some specific set of circumstances that Yah wanted us to memorialize. In other words, did y'all get that? I'll read that again. It says it was marked by some event or some special set of circumstances that Yah wanted us to remember, that Yah wanted us to memorialize, such as the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Those things were meant for us to memorialize Yah, number one, passing over the children of Israel, the Passover, Yah passing over the children of Israel's houses when he went throughout the land of Egypt and smiting all the firstborn of Pharaoh and the Egyptians. So that was marked by some special set of circumstances that Yah wanted us to memorialize. Let's now go down to the 23rd verse. We're in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and we were talking about the Feast of Yah, which Yah proclaimed to be holy convocations. And we're going to go to 23 and 23.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, and memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
Okay, so now we're going to, let's talk about that. First of all, it says, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month. Now we know that how we calculate our days and our months, we went over that this week. In the book of Genesis 1 and 14, it says Yah gave us the greater lights and the lesser light. He said he gave us those lights for signs and seasons, for days and for years. And this is how we calculate when our years are, which are different than the way the Gentiles calculate theirs. We calculate our new years by when Yah told us is that during the time of the Passover, during that season, he says, this shall be the beginning of months unto you. So the beginning of our months for Israel, and for those that are serving Yah, the beginning of our months begin in the month of March/April, the end of March or the beginning of April, when things in the springtime, when things start to bud anew, when Yahweh is causing new growth to come upon the earth. And that's why it's called the New Year. New things are coming out of the earth. New things are sprouting forth that were not sprouting forth during the last season. New life is beginning. So this is how we calculate that this is our 7th month. And last night, or yesterday, the new moon was actually spotted. The new moon was sighted. So that was clearly our sign to let us know that this is the 7th month and the 1st day. Hallelujah. And you know what? I think that we did something right this year. I commend all of you because I know this is one of the toughest ones. You know, people say, which day is it going to be on? Is it going to be on this day? Is it going to be on that day? The only thing that we can do is we can try our best we have certain tools that we use to where we can give an approximation, right? To where we know, because the moon go in a certain rotation, right? Just like the sun. You know, at a certain time in the morning, the sun is going to rise, right? The sun ain't going to rise at 4 a.m. unless y'all wanted to rise at 4 a.m. under some certain special circumstances. And the sun ain't going to begin to rise at 12 p.m. It's going to already be done risen because y'all has it on a certain cycle already, right? You know, sometime around 6:30, 7 o'clock, around that time, maybe the sun is going to rise, the new day is going to break forth. You know, so Yah has these things in a cycle. And I appreciate everybody's patience this year because people always owe me every year, like, what day? And I'm like, only thing I can give you is like the best of 2 days. And I think we finally getting better, right? Because what we telling people is, if we know within the course of 2 days when the new moon is going to come, then we can tell people, like, you take 2 days off, right? Like for me, what I did is I took both days off. I reserved both days, and I said I will let you know which one I'll need off. So I took off today, and I'll be going to work tomorrow. If the new moon wouldn't have came, I would have went to work today and I would have been out tomorrow. And I think that all this need is communication. As we deal with our employers, they just want to know whether they can depend on you or whether they can't. Right? Okay, so we in Leviticus 23 and 24. Read that one more time, please.
Okay.
Read that one more time. Let's start over in Leviticus 23 and 23.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yah.
So we shall do no servile work. And what is servile work? Servile work is hired work, or work pertaining to or regarding to servitude, or us going to work on our jobs. Pertaining to working for others. That's what servile work is. Servile work is also going to work to earn wages. Right? Or doing servile work to where you ain't earning wages. In other words, we ain't supposed to be doing no community service. If you got community service, you want to get a note. Hopefully everybody got community service. But I'm just saying you're not getting paid for that. But if you are, just let them know, this is a day that's holy unto the Almighty. I can't come and participate in this work on that day. Not even if you're self-employed. That's also a time of servitude. This is a day that we stop our work, and we have specific things that our people did. Of course, it says you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yah, and that was the job that the priest did. So when we had priests, that was the role of the priest. And when we was in our land, we wasn't offering an offering made by fire nowhere. The common man, when it was something that the priest did. Just like the priest made there was a sacrifice on the new moon. There was a weekly sacrifice. And there was a daily sacrifice. There was a sacrifice on the Sabbath, and there was a daily sacrifice. How many sacrifices was there a day? There were 2 sacrifices every day. One in the morning and one in the what? In the evening. But we didn't do it anyway. That was the role of the priest. But the common man, and even though we don't have the ability to do those things, it's still the duty of the common man to be obedient to Yahweh and do the things that Yah told us to do. Because we don't have a priest don't mean that we can now commit adultery, that we don't have to honor our parents, that we can now steal. That's not what that means. And some people want to say, well, we can't keep the law no more. Well, how do you think societies are governed? How do you think households are governed? There has to be rules that people abide by. There has to be laws to keep things in order. Hallelujah. Okay. So what we're going to do is we will get into. Do you have a comment, brother? What? The moon. So let me tell you something else too about the moon. I had a presentation that I had this week, and one of the things that I found out in research, just so people will know, is that certain apps that we have, certain ones will have, like I actually had a picture. There's a site called stardate.org or something like that, and their calculation was actually wrong. The way they had their moon mapped out. And I had it up here, they had that the crescent wouldn't be shown until tonight. That was actually wrong, because if you, number one, go and look at, you can go look at like Naval Observatory site, right? And they have, they give you the percentage that the moon will be visible by a certain illumination. And there's certain illuminations that can be seen with the naked eye. I believe like a 0.7, 0.8 can possibly be seen with the naked eye. 0.9 and 1.0 can definitely be seen with the naked eye. And the other thing that we got to consider is that the weather conditions as well. Weather conditions sometimes prevent us from seeing it. So there's a lot of things that we have to consider, but we've been working together, trying to work with Israelites worldwide to make sure that we're not off doing our own thing, but that we're also trying to be in alignment as much as possible as we can with our people. We got people from Trinidad, We got people from Barbados. We got people from Jamaica. We got people from Guyana, South America, many other islands. We got people over in Israel. And we got people in the many, many states here in the United States that we all work together to try to make sure that we are in the right alignment. And some of us differ though. Some of us differ. Like last night, some of the Israelite brothers in New York, they had a new moon. They had a service last night. They started their Yom Teruah or their Feast of Trumpets last night. Did y'all see that note that went out? And some of them went out. And I wanted you all to see that because we need to see that if you ain't the only service of Yah on this earth. It's many servants that are out there that's really trying to do their best to serve Yah. But sometimes we think it's only us. So we can do what we want to do, how we want to do it. And we got to realize the Almighty got servants everywhere that's trying to keep His laws. That's trying to be, and I'm going to say this, even people who have some different religious beliefs that we do as far as certain things, many of them still are very devout keepers of laws of Yah, or many of the laws of Yah. Some of them have different dietary laws, but when you get to some people who just got good hearts and good intentions, they know how to love their neighbor as they self. They know how to be nice, kind people. They know how to help people out. And those are some of the things that we got to realize even as Israel. We as Israel, we believe that since we know who Yahweh is, we can just do what we want to do, say what we want to do. But we have to realize that Yah is judging this whole earth. Yah's judging this whole earth. And we have to be accepted. We have to fix our spirits, y'all. We got to fix how we deal with one another, how we talk to one another, how we, how we help one another. We gotta fix that. We got some fixing to do. Because I know many times we want to be, and I know for example, Miss Glass, one of the most loving, kind, and sweetest people I know, and like my mother, one of the most kindest and sweetest people I know as well. But then I see some people who are Israelites, some of the meanest people I ever seen in my life. I'm just saying. And what I'm saying about that is that we have some fixing to do. And a lot of us who understand who we are as a people, we just take for granted, well, Yahweh got me, and no. You can learn something from anybody on this earth. Just how the Almighty put us in a position to teach people who He is, teach people His dietary laws. There's many ways that we have to humble ourselves and learn how to adapt from other people. That's what makes the world go round. It's not just going to be Israel being separated as a people. The Almighty put Israel to do certain jobs on this earth, and He put other nations to do other jobs. It ain't going to just only be Israelites and all the other nations. No. It's Israel's job to teach the other nations on the earth. But there's also other things that we can learn from other people if we just humble ourselves. Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am.
First, let me give all praise to the Creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that is within them. I say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And I wanted to touch on something else that's important about the moon and the lights that the Most High has given us. The scripture that the Most High used to open my eyes about His new covenant, Jeremiah 31:30, 31st verse. I really want to focus down here on the 31:35, if you don't mind. And Yahweh said, which giveth the sun for...
Wait a minute, hold on for a minute. Let everybody get to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jeremiah what?
31.
31.
And I'm sorry, 35.
Jeremiah 31 and 35.
Yes.
Okay. We should have some pages turning. Jeremiah 31 and the 35th verse. Okay, I think we're there.
Okay. It says, thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh, then shall the seed of Israel also cease from being a nation before me forever. So see, it's really important. This is another important thing about the moon and the sun and the stars. This is a covenant, a very important covenant that the Most High made with the house of Israel. Because he said, if this all cease, then we gonna be ceased too as a nation. You know, so it's a really important thing to focus on. And if you go on to 37, it said, thus saith Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith Yahweh. So we have done great sins against the Most High. That day of atonement is coming up, boy. Whew. It's well needed, I must say. But I just wanted to touch on that about the moon and the stars. And what I was going to touch on earlier, but you never got around to me, was the 911 call that we need to put into the Most High. You know, Psalms 91 verse 1 is what me and Cliff been focusing on. You want to turn here?
Yeah, no, we'll turn to it a little later, but let's go ahead and turn it. Let's go ahead and turn it real quick. And then we're going to move on with our lesson.
Right.
But yeah, we will, let's turn there. Psalms 91. And I think this is important because as we move towards our Day of Atonement, we also want to make sure that we fix ourselves and be meditating on things that we want to be repentant of and that we do better on. Psalm 91.
And I'm just going to read the first 4 verses if you don't mind.
Okay.
Y'all ready? He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say, Yahweh is my refuge, my fortress, my Elohim, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snares of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shall thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Shield to us.
Hallelujah. Let us quit.
And we're hid under his feathers, like we're under his shadow. When you see a dark shadow, it like covers stuff you can't see in the dark. You know what I'm saying? So under his wings is his shadow. Can you imagine the Most High stretch out his feathers and his wings, and how much of a shadow that would be, and how that would cover us, all those that put their faith and their trust in him. He said he's a shield and a buckler to us. That right there made me think about that movie, dang on it. I can't think of it. If
Okay,
it comes to me, I'll tell you later.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I'll make a comment on this and then we'll move forward. He that dwelleth in the secret place of Yah shall abide under the shadow of Yah, shadow of the Almighty. And the secret place of Yah is the place that we abide under when we grab hold to Yahweh's covenant. As we spoke to when in the book of Psalms 50 and 5, when the scripture says, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. That's that secret place. It's talking about a spiritual place of hiding. That spiritual place that your soul and your spirit goes in. You connect yourself unto the Almighty. You be obedient to the Almighty. You establish a relationship with the Almighty. And then the Almighty puts you under the shadow of his wings. Hallelujah. Let's go to the book of Numbers, the 10th chapter. Actually, before I go to the book of Numbers, the 10th chapter, because there's a couple more things that I wanted to cover along with this. I want to go ahead and call Keem up. You ready? I want to call Nikemi up, and he's going to move forward. He might want to cover something in here, but he has a few things to cover as well regarding the Feast of Trumpets. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to, I got a couple of laws that I want to read, and then we will answer some questions. Because that's also what we're supposed to do on this day, is to try our best to answer questions, things that people want to get clarified. But we don't have to specifically cover them all today. We can cover some of them also on the next coming Sabbath day. But this is a day that that we also have a feast that we have unto the Almighty, and it's a day of celebration that we're going to have as well. So, King, if you want to come forward, if you all will please rise and please give King. Hey, first of all, let's rise for our elders. Let's everybody rise for our elders. Let's give our elders a round of applause. Hallelujah. And secondly, if you all, while you're standing, please welcome the king and give him a warm welcome to come and speak the word of Yah. Hallelujah.
Praise Yah. Everybody needs to go. We'll go ahead and start in the book of Numbers, the 10th chapter. Starting at the first verse. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly, and for the journeying of the camps. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow but with 1 trumpet, then the princes, which are the heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee. So when the first alarm went forth, that was for the princes to gather themselves unto Moses. And it says here that the princes were heads of the thousands of Israel. So that was the first alarm. And in verse 5, it says, When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward. So this is beginning with the directions. So the east part was to go forward first. When you blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south, they shall take their journey, and they shall blow an alarm for their journeys. So then the south came. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations. And if you go to war in your land against the enemies that oppresses you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before Yah your Elohim, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and offer the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. So the Most High commanded Moses, and the commandment was to make these 2 trumpets of silver. The Most High said these trumpets of silver were to be used for the days of our gladness, our solemn days, and specifically the beginning of our months. And we were to blow over the trumpet over our burnt offerings and our sacrifice offerings. So this was a spiritual process that the Most High commanded us. Starting off with the elements that Yahweh used, which was silver. But that was the first commandment for us to make these trumpets. Now let's go over to Nehemiah the 8th chapter. And these were the times where the Most High gave commandment that the walls of Jerusalem should be built and that the city should be built again. So during this time, we were beginning to return unto Yahweh our Creator. And we had to take back the laws, our statutes, our customs, everything that Yahweh commanded. This was a process of restoration. So it was very important that we were on key here, because this was our culture. This was a heritage that Yahweh assigned to his people. And starting here at the very first verse, it says, "And all the people gathered themselves together as one man in the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which Yahweh had commanded to Israel." So the very first thing that was given forth was the book of the law of Moses. And the book of the law of Moses was none other than the statutes and the commandments that Yahweh created to keep order among our nation. And it says, "And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, all that could hear with understanding upon the first day of the 7th month." And today, what day are we in and what month are we in? The first day of the 7th month. So we're doing exactly what Nehemiah and Ezra did, even though they were in the land at this time. This was a statute forever throughout our generations. And in verse 3 it says, "And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning until the midday, before the men and the women. And those that could understand, and the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law." Now they were attentive because this was an important matter for us to discuss. Because like I said, the law is what keeps harmony among us. The law is what's going to keep us successful as we live and journey throughout our lands and fulfill our purpose in the lands. But he read the law from the morning until midday. And it says, "And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose." So this pulpit of wood was specifically made for the purpose of reading the law before the people. And Ezra himself, he had to stand upon this pulpit of wood and minister before the people. And if you know anything about Ezra, Ezra had committed his heart to not only learn the statutes of Yahweh himself, but to teach them and to make people understand them. And beside him stood Mattathiah and Shema and Ananiah and Uriah and Hilkiah and Maaseiah on his right hand, and on his left hand Pedaiah and Mishael and Malchiah and Hashum and Hashbadana, Zechariah and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And the reason Ezra stood above all the people was not for himself, but because the law is always to be elevated and spoken out from the midst of the people. Because the law of Yah and his ways are very high and high above us all. It says also Yeshua and Bani and Sherebiah and Yamin and Akob and Shabbathai and Hodiah and Maaseiah and Kalida and Azariah and Yozabad, Hanan and Peliah and the Levites caused the people to understand the law. And the people stood in their place. So they read in the book of the law of Elohim distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. And Nehemiah, which is the Tershatha, and that word Tershatha means governor. And Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people said unto all the people, "This day is holy unto Yahweh your Elohim. Mourn not, nor weep." For all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Now why did our people weep when they heard the words of the law? Because they were breaking them. because we have forgot about the importance of the law. So once they heard all these words, when they heard that we weren't supposed to be stealing, when they heard that we were supposed to keep God's Sabbath day holy, when they heard that we were supposed to be wearing fringes on the borders of our clothing, when they heard that we were supposed to honor our mother and father and stand before the hoary head and rise and honor the face of the old man and fear our mother and fathers, they began to weep. But the leaders here, they had to intercede and said, don't worry about all these things. He said, for this day is holy unto God, meaning this is a great occasion. Even though we may suffer from our sins, we may suffer from all the problems that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, all that is put to the side. Because once we take on Yah as our maker, once we take on Yah as our power and our creator, it becomes all about him. And it becomes all about pleasing him and doing what's right before him. And the Most High said one of the reasons why he sent us into captivity is because we didn't serve Yahweh with gladness and joyfulness of heart. So sometimes we gotta put Satan behind us. We gotta put our bad spirits and our heavy hearts behind us. And say, you know what? The joy of Yah is our strength. In verse 10 it says, then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Yah. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of Yahweh is your strength. So the Levites still all the people saying, hold your peace, for this day is holy. Neither be ye grieved. So they basically told them to cheer up. This is not a time for weeping. The Day of Atonement is right around the corner. And we have plenty of time for weeping and afflicting ourselves and turning back to Yahweh. So that's why Solomon said it's a time and place for everything under the sun. It says, and all the people went their way to eat and to drink and to send portions and to make great mirth, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them. Praise the mighty Yah. So those trumpets, and one of the things that we should start incorporating, I believe, is, if at least if we're going to blow the trumpet, we should have the music of trumpets. Because the trumpet is a very powerful instrument. Especially when you blow it from the horns of the ram. But the Most High, once he breathed into us his breath of life, our ability to inhale and exhale became present. So this air that we breathe each and every day, this is the breath of life that Yahweh sent throughout the earth. This is the breath of life that he put within us. So when we were to blow it in that trumpet, could you imagine the power, the holiness, that sounded from those trumpets? It's a great feeling. And it can be shown better than I can tell you. But these are things we have to seek out ourselves. Let's go to the book of 1 Chronicles, the 29th chapter. And one thing we have to understand, it's up to each and every one of us to make sure that we bring joy before the Most High.
So I want to make a comment about what we just read about where it says, hold your peace, for this day is holy, be not grieved. Because when our people were reading out of the book of the law, we understood that we had been transgressing the laws of Yah. You also got to remember that our people this was a time of restoration, right? So our people was kind of without the law for a while. And when Nehemiah came back and was reading the book of this law, it was a great realization, and this is something that we should realize today. Don't be grieved about it, but just have inside of yourself, you know what, I'm going to make some changes. Right. And be positive about it. You know what I mean? Like, you putting on that strength, you gird yourself with strength, saying, you know what, I'm going to make some changes. And we're gonna celebrate today. This is gonna be a great day, and I'm gonna dedicate myself to working on myself to becoming a better person. So that's the spirit that I believe that we should have, and the spirit that was behind what was being said here. And then, like you said, when it comes to the Day of Atonement, when it's Sabbath, we'll get more into these laws. We'll have more time to dedicate and work on ourselves. So when we get to that Day of Atonement, we'll be able to, say, I'm praying to Yah that He gives me a new heart. He gives me a new spirit as I fast, so that I can be a better person. So hallelujah, praise my Yah.
Praise the mighty Yah. And we're all in a very powerful position to be so near unto our Creator. The heathens, they rejoice at their holidays, but look what we give the Most High. Look what we give the Most High on our days. So it's definitely a reason for our weeping. But what good is just sitting down and having sorrow? What is that going to do? I mean, ultimately, where is that going to lead us? You can sit there and cry all day and all night. But if you don't get up and make the change yourself, then you'll never feel the emotional joy. So during this time in the First Chronicles, the 29th chapter, this is when David began preparing everything for King Solomon. Because King Solomon was up next to build the temple, to finish off the temple. Starting in the first verse, it says, "Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation, Solomon, my son, whom alone Elohim I've chosen." And that's very important, something we need to know, because Elohim was the one that set up all our leaders. Elohim was the one that chose the ones that he wanted to represent him. But it says, "Whom alone Elohim have chosen is yet young and tender, and the work is great. For the palace is not for man, but for Yahweh Elohim." And could you imagine building something so sacred and so holy for the King of the universe to reside in? Can our minds even fathom something like that? So you have to make sure that everything is accurate and precise. That's why David told him, he said, "This work is great. For this ain't for man, but this is for the King, Yahweh Elohim, who went out before us to fight all our battles. Yahweh our Elohim, which saved us from Egypt. Yahweh our Elohim, which spared us when we was on the boats, being shipped to all the various different countries, and allowed us to be alive here today." So it's a great work. "Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my Elohim, the gold for things to be made of gold, and silver for things of silver, and the brass for things of brass, and the iron for things of iron, and wood for things of wood. Onyx stones, stones to be set, glistering stones, and of diverse colors, and all manner of precious stones, and marble stones in abundance." So David got all these things ready for Solomon and for Yah, because David loved the Most High. It said diverse colors and all manner of precious stones. You had gold, you had all manner of precious stones. You had onyx, rubies, sapphire. You know how much hard work that took to find all these elements? How much money and sacrifice that took? But that's why the scriptures say, "Give unto Yah." But we spend our time, we spend our money, we spend our sacrifices with everything else but the Creator. So we have to get our priorities straight and realize exactly where our work is at. And if we don't right now, later down the line, we'll greatly regret it. And that's why the scriptures say, "Seek Yahweh while he may be found." Seek Yahweh while you're in your youth, before the bad days come. "Moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my Elohim, I have of my own proper good, of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my Elohim, over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house, even 3,000 talents of gold, and of the gold of Ophir, and 7,000 talents of what? Refined silver, to overlay the walls of the houses withal. The gold for things of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and for all manner of work to be made by the hands of artificers. And who then is willing to consecrate? And peep this is a question. And who then is willing to consecrate his service this day unto Yah? Then the chief of the fathers and princes of the tribes of Israel, and the captains of thousands and of hundreds of the rulers and of the king's work, they did what? They offered willingly and gave for the service of the house of Elohim of gold 500,000 talents, and 10,000 of drams, and of silver 10,000 talents, and of brass 18,000. And we talking about gold. This is worth more than this is hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars. But David said, you know, who then is willing to consecrate this service today on the Yah? Who's going to do it? Who's going to consecrate this day? And they with whom precious stones were found gave them to the treasure of the house of Yah by the hand of Yehiel the Gershonite. Then the people rejoiced, for that they offered willingly, because with perfect heart, and notice it says with a perfect heart, they offered willingly to Yah. And David the king also rejoiced with great joy. This was the occasion that everybody could rejoice in. But only those that gave something and put something forth and participated, only they were able to have a heart to be able to rejoice. And the reason we don't have the heart to be able to rejoice before Yahweh is because we're not getting involved. We're not getting involved. We have to put forth our talents to say, how can we beautify the house of Yah? How can we bring this nation together? How can we get back home and really be living the life that Yahweh wants us to live? It's going to take each and every one of us. Wherefore David blessed Yahweh before all the congregation, and David said, Blessed be thou, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, our Father, forever and ever.
Hallelujah.
Thine, O Yah, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heaven and the earth is thine. Thine is the kingdom, O Yahweh, and thou art exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come of thee, and thou reignest over all. In thy hand is power and might, and in thy hand is it to make great and to give strength unto all. Now therefore, our Elohim, we thank thee and praise thy glorious name. But who am I and what is my people, that we should be able to offer so willingly after this sort? He said, who am I and who is my people, that we should be able to do such a thing? For Yahweh had given them the power to do all of this, meaning it was already in their hands. All they had to do was just put their hand out and say, you know what, Yah is more important than anything I got going on right now. And Yah is the Savior of Israel. So if Yah is the Savior of my people, that means that's where my dedication should be at. And we know Enoch, his name meant dedication. His name meant dedication. That's why Yahweh took him up in his latter days. And said, you know, I got something great for my servant Enoch, because he dedicated himself unto me. But it says, for we are strangers as before thee, and sojourners as we are all our fathers, and our shadows on the earth. Our days on the earth are as a shadow, and there is none abiding. O Yahweh, our Elohim, all the store that we have prepared to build thee an house for thy holy name comes of what? Of thy hand, and is all thine own. It was Yahweh's already. He just let you borrow it because he's testing you. Yahweh done gave you all the blessings because it's merely a test. Now what you going to do with those blessings? Are you going to hold them all to yourself? And Solomon said a rich man I'll have to get the proverb for you. I don't want to say it wrong. But it says something to like, the poor comes and searches his neighbor out. And a man's riches are his strong tower, I believe. But I have to get that out for y'all specifically. But the Most High giveth these things to test us. He gave us our talents to test us. Every talent that you have, it has to go through what is called a test. So you have to be strong. Moreover, it's saying, I also know, my Elohim, that what? Thou triest the heart, and has pleasure in uprightness. And when it says Elohim tries the heart, that means he know how to get that heart beating fast. The Most High know exactly where to test you at, to see if you're really faithful. The Most High know how to put certain scenarios before you to see exactly what you made of, what's going to come forth of you. But that's the end of this chapter, really. But all these people, they banded together and they gave unto Yah. And it said the people rejoiced. And it's been a long time since Yah's people really rejoiced, man.
So true.
It's been a long time. I'm talking about to where Yah's people really rejoiced. So we gotta set our hearts to that, man. Or otherwise, we're gonna go in circles. So let us go to the book of the law really quick. And before we do that, I just want to read you a poem here. Because the trumpets were used for something called war. Whenever you see trumpet, it's associated with something with dread, fear, and war. War is coming. But actually, let's go to Leviticus 23 again. So stay with me here. Because the Most High is great.
All the time.
For Yahweh's greatness, stay with me. But one thing about the Most High, man, he is a very mysterious Elohim. Meaning he's not the easiest Elohim to get in contact with. He hides himself, he conceals himself in thick darkness. And with him being concealed in thick darkness, sometimes we spiral out of range. We become out of order. But that's just a test. We know something that's very great to achieve, it's going to take hard work and dedication. It's going to take you talking to certain people at the right time and at the right moment so you can get the clues that Yahweh's trying to get you to seek him. But he's the Elohim that conceals himself. Meaning you got to be thirsty. You got to really want to find him to be able to find him. But it says, speak unto the children of Israel, and this is in verse 24, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial. And why is it a memorial? Because before the children of Israel went to war, before Yahweh gave us commandment to slay, those trumpets was blown. But it's a memorial, meaning it's a remembrance, a blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. And he says specifically, you shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yah. Now, of course, the people are going to say, oh, we don't have a sacrifice today. There's no way we can offer burnt offerings. But let's go to the book of Psalms 50. I'm going to show you how y'all would really truly feel about these sacrifices. Now, Yahweh can accept his sacrifices. He does accept them. But it's something else that has to proceed before that. And when we go to Psalms 50, and we're going to start in the very first verse. Now, this is one of Brother Dan's favorite songs, and I can see exactly why. But it puts things in a proper perspective. And it starts off by saying, look, the mighty Elohim, even Yahweh has spoken. And when the mighty Elohim, even Yahweh has spoken, I'm going to be all ears. Because at this point, I know something very important is being said. It says, he called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Meaning the light and darkness that we see each and every day, Yahweh done called that into order. And in verse 2, he says, out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, meaning Zion, Yahweh, it don't get more beautiful than that. No European model on this earth got anything on a perfection of beauty out of Zion. Elohim has shined, or Elohim shall come, and he shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him. It shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. And then he says in verse 5, he said, gather all the saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by what? Sacrifice. Is this talking about a burnt offering? This is talking about the people with the willing hearts that offer themselves. People who said, you know what? Yahweh is more important than anything I got going on right now. This is the covenant of sacrifice Yahweh made for us. He said, and the heavens shall declare his righteousness. For what? Elohim is judge himself. Now I know the average man, average religious man, they say, okay, you can't be a Hebrew because you're not doing sacrifices. Y'all out there doing the cut nose, y'all out there slaying the bullocks and offering on palm altars. That's what a heathen would say. But the Most High, he said, you know what? I'm judge myself. And I'll show mercy upon whom I will show mercy to. And he said, hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel. I will testify against thee. I am Elohim, even thy Elohim. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices, or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. Meaning he's not going to correct us according to no burnt offerings. When you sitting there on judgment day, when Yahweh is coming down to judge us, he don't care about no burnt offerings you done gave up. That's irrelevant. That's null and void. That was just a custom that our people did. And whether it's accepted of Yahweh, that was up to him. But it's only one thing that's acceptable before the Most High, and that's your righteousness. That's primary before anything. So it says, I'm not going to correct thee for thy sacrifices, or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. I don't care about that. What I really care about is your actions. He says, I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine. Every beast is mine. And the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee. For the world is mine and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto Elohim what? Thanksgiving. And like I said, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you truly love the Most High. If you feel good about the Most High. And I want to let you know a secret here. And the secret is this. The Most High is in complete control of your life. That's what they really don't want you to know. They want you to believe that really a man is holding the key to your faith. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe the government got power over you. But it's something called divine authority. It's something called divine retribution. Meaning, so what? They got some papers and documents. So what? They got some stones. So what, they got some blueprints to build up their houses of wickedness. The Most High got something called divine retribution. Meaning if Yahweh don't build the house, they labor in vain that build it anyway.
That's right.
Meaning he can cause something to collapse at its greatest state. He can he can just strike somebody with a thunderbolt who done did something bad to you. David said, man, I won't be afraid of 10,000s of people that surround themselves against me. Because he believed in something called divine judgment. So Yahweh is in control. And that's the secret. But it says in verse 22, it says, now consider this, ye that forget Elohim. Lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offers praise, glorifies me. And to him that orders his conversation aright, will I show the salvation of Elohim. Meaning that's the divine judgment. And me, myself, personally, I love the Most High because I know he's in control. So all I got to do is just get active in Yah. Let's go to Micah 6. But this is something else our people lack. And it's really the main reason why we can't put our heads together and work together as one body. Micah 6, and we'll start at verse 6. It says in verse 6, it says, wherewith shall I come before Yah, and bow myself before the high Elohim? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings? Question mark. With calves of a year old? Will Yahweh be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He hath shown thee, O man, what is good. And what doeth Yahweh require of thee? The Most High, the Spirit of Yahweh had said, he said, I've shown thee what is good. So for us to get it out, come out of perspective, we're not paying attention to what the Spirit of Yahweh is saying and what the Spirit of Yahweh is conveying unto us. The Most High said he ain't only just told you, he said he done shown you what's good. He said, what doeth Yahweh require of thee? But to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy Elohim. So Yahweh ain't pleased with thousands of rams. The Most High, the only thing he requires of us is to do justly and to love mercy. Meaning judge people in fairness. Treat people with kindness. Overlook the flaws that people have. Because you got them too. Deal with people in a righteous manner and don't just label somebody based on what you think is right. Use fair judgment. But he said to love mercy. Don't just display mercy, he wants you to love it. Love it. And love and mercy is supposed to bring us together. Yes.
I got a question. Why do y'all want us to love mercy?
I'll let somebody out there answer it.
Can anybody answer why y'all wants us to love mercy? Hallelujah. Anybody else? And my answer to that is y'all want us to love mercy for our neighbor, because when it comes to mercy on us, we what? We love mercy when it comes to us, don't we? Mercy, y'all. We want mercy, but don't give her no mercy. And the Almighty said that He wanted us, He said a false balance is an abomination to Him. So just like we want mercy to be shown on us, we love it, right? On the day of your judgment, how many of y'all gonna love mercy then? We gonna love mercy, and we on the day of judgment. So therefore, y'all want us to have a just balance and love mercy towards others. Hallelujah.
Praise Yah. Shalom. I just want to comment on that. That was beautiful. But even King David said that. I mean, the Most High spoke to King David. He said that. He said, Yahweh gonna deal with how you deal. He said, with the merciful, I'm gonna deal with merciful. With the perverse, I'm gonna deal with perverse. So yeah, we gotta love mercy, because that's how Yahweh gonna deal with us. If you ain't merciful, Yahweh ain't gonna show you no mercy. So that's the fear. That's how we gotta walk with fear. Like, okay, let me be humble. I want Yahweh to be humble to me, right? You know what I'm saying? So let me be merciful. I want Yahweh to be merciful to me. I don't want Yahweh to be perverse with me. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh yeah.
It's a song that say, it say change is gonna come. So right now, what the Most High wants us to do, He wants us to do justice and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our Elohim. And to walk humbly, it means, you're not so full of yourself. You realize that you don't possess all the greatest qualities in the world, and that sometimes you're not capable of doing what Yahweh commands you to do. But overall, we're supposed to love mercy, and loving mercy is loving each other. But some of our eyes are so big, we can't get past the flesh. We can't realize that love is something spiritual. It's something unseen. It's a feeling that you have. It's a spirit that Yahweh put on you to do and to execute. Nevertheless, today is the Feast of Trumpets. So today is a great day.
Hallelujah.
But this poem is called To the Poet Before Battle. It says, now youth, the hour of thy dread passion comes. Thy lovely things must all be laid away, and thou as others must face the riven day, unstirred by rattle of the rolling drums. Our bugles stride and cry, where mere noise numbs the sense of being, the sick soul do sway. Remember thy great craft's honor, that they may say, nothing in shame of poets, than the crumbs of praise the little verse man joy to take shall be forgotten. Then they must know we are, for all our skill and words equal in might, and strong of metal as those we honor. Make the name of poet terrible in just war, and like a crown of honor upon the fight. Go to Psalms 27. It says, Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, and this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of Yah, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yah all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yah, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock, and now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Pause. How many of us have been at war before, should I say? Scared for our life. I know I definitely have. And the Most High delivered me from that situation. And looking back on it, I say, although I was very ready of my own strength, it was the Most High that strengthened me during that situation. And it's something different when you go in your own strength and when you go in the strength of the Most High. Because when you go in the strength of the Most High, you know for a fact that whoever rises up against you, they're not going to stand. But when you go in your own strength, you got doubt there. You can be fully trained for war. But when the scriptures say that the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but safety is of Yahweh, don't you know that winning spirit, that winning luck that people have, that's a spirit that the Most High put on someone. You got some of the greatest fighters that go head to head. And you got champions that lose to challengers each and every day. But that's the spirit that Yahweh put on an individual to be able to strengthen themselves during that fight. It don't have nothing to do with your personal strength. But it's been plenty of times where I know I've been hated before. How many of us know they've been hated before by somebody? And somebody wanted to do them harm. If you know that feeling, then you will know exactly where I'm coming from right now. But the good thing about it is we still here alive today and breathing. And I know there's many warriors of Yah here in the midst that's been through some things. So looking back on that, I always come back to this song because war is a very scary thing. And being hated sometimes, that brings your heart rate up a lot. It's an unpleasant feeling when you know that you're hated by someone. And that's what an enemy is. An enemy is somebody that hates you. But through all those troubles, realize that the Most High is with you. And that's why the Most High gave us the Feast of Trumpets. This is the last scripture I'm going to go to. And when we go home today, I want us to, we need to look into getting some trumpets. We got trumpets here. Some trumpets that we can possess ourselves. Because really, what's the Feast of Trumpets without a trumpet? Let's go to Joshua 6. But Yahweh is a realistic Elohim. Most High is a very real Elohim. So in Joshua 6, it says, Now Jericho was straightly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thou shalt do this 6 days, and 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of what? ram's horns. This wasn't just no horn that they have in the bands made of that gold. This was a ram's horn. And you know a ram's horn is used for when a ram go to battle. So it was a ram's horn. In the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priest shall blow with the trumpets. And this shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, meaning a straight note, for a long period of time, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of Yah. And I've been near a trumpet before with a ram horn, and I know the power of it. So imagine you got seven trumpets, which was enough. Verse 7, he said, until the people pass on and can pass the city, let him that is armed pass on before the ark of Yah. And it shall come to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before Yah, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of Yah followed them. And the armed man went before the priests. So you had the armed man before the priests, which blew with the trumpets. And the backside came after the ark, the priests going on, blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you shout. Then shall ye shout. So Joshua commanded the people, don't make a noise until I bid you to shout. So the ark of Yah compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. So they compassed the city one time, and they came right back into the camp and lodged in the camp. So that was day 1. Some days passed forward here. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of Yahweh, and 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of Yah went on continually, and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them. So you had the army, the men, the strong men that went before the ark, and you had the rear that came after the ark of Yah, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpet. On the 2nd day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days. So they was doing what's something you would call guerrilla tactics. They would move, they would make a move, and they would go and retreat. But this guerrilla tactic was used with a trumpet, and was used with silence and marching. So in verse 15 it says, and it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day. So they got up really early, and this was the last day. And they compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. So on this day specifically, normally they would go around the city, march around it 1 time. This time, they did it 7 whole times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for Yahweh hath given you the city, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to Yahweh. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house. And that's why Yahweh said, you know what, have mercy. Because Rahab was a harlot, man. But she did right by Joshua, by hiding him when the troops was looking for him. So regardless of what type of life people is living, they are capable of doing something just before Yah. You have to have a leader present, though, leading them and guiding them in the right way. But it said, Rahab only the harlot shall live, she and all her with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed. Meaning don't take out any spoils. When ye take of the accursed thing and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. But he says, all the silver and all the gold and all the vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto Yah, and they shall come into the treasury of Yah. So meaning once we go in here and pursue the city, because it was going to happen, don't let your eyes deceive you and start taking gold and silver and all the spoils. Don't try to make yourself rich in this battle, because all these things is going back to Yah. In verse 20 it says, so the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both men and women, and young and old ox, and sheep and ass with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, go in unto the harlot's house, and bring out thence the women, all that she has, as he sware unto her. And the young men that were spies went in, and brought out Rahab and her father, and her mother, and her brothers, and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire, all that was therein. Only the silver and gold, and the vessels, the brass and iron, they put into the treasury of the house of Yah. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, all that she had, and she dwelled in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers who Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And Joshua adjured them at that time, saying, cursed be the man before Yah that rises up and builds this city Jericho. Whoever lays the foundation thereof, his firstborn and his youngest son shall basically get slain. And the youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So Joshua had said, whoever laid the foundation, his firstborn shall die, and the youngest son, and whoever set up the gates of it, his youngest son shall die and be cursed. Verse 27, so Yahweh was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. Praise the mighty Yah. And that's a great story of trumpets. But in conclusion, the Most High is with us, man. But it's up to us how much we want it. Because like I said before, Yah conceals himself in a thick darkness. But Yahweh gave us a charge to gather ourselves together. And something that Elder Jackie has said, if those ordinances depart from the way Yahweh has set it up, then shall the nation of Israel be cut off forever from being a nation before me. So the ordinance that Yahweh set up, those are the ways that we come together. By calling our feasts in the appropriate seasons. But our enemy knows if he takes us off of these ordinances, that's the way he cut us off. That's the way he can attempt to cut us off. So praise Yah, man. Sure. Do we have any comments or any testimonies?
Oh, praise the mighty. Yeah, I like that part where it said, walk humbly with that him. To me, it sounds like if I'm going to walk humbly with Yah, it sounds like Yah is walking humbly as well. You know what I mean? If two people walk in that manner together, it seems like we both walk humbly. But I might be reading it wrong, but when I see that it said walk humbly with your Elohim, to me it seems like the Most High is walking humbly already. To praise Yah.
I could two all together except they be agreed. Go ahead, Elder Jackie. Can we get the mic to Elder Jackie, please? And sometimes the Most High gonna walk the way he wanna walk anyway. So it's up to us to be humble.
Hallelujah.
However it go.
This, that specific scripture is in one of my poems called Forgiveness.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember it. Maybe I'll do it when we go to lunch or whatever. Are you gonna have a performance today?
You said what?
Are we having a performance today?
We should.
Praise and worship. Well, I said yeah, about forgiveness. I should
Okay. Great. Praise Maria.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, once again. We just have a few more things to cover before we go into our last portion of our service, where we're going to have a couple performances and we're going to have our feast, our celebration. The first thing I want to say is going back to a comment that I talked to somebody this week, and we were talking about being humble. And I think the brother Ariel might have said something about this, about walking humbly with Elohim, and something about two people got to be humble, right? Both people got to be humble. One of the things that I discovered, and something that an elder told me, if I thought I heard it right, is that you can only do your part. You can't force another person to do what they do. Sometimes we have to just do our part, and when you do what Yahweh command you to do, the victory gonna be to you. And let that be that. See, y'all gonna deliver the victory to the righteous. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter and the 6th verse, because I wanted to discuss a couple things about cleanliness and uncleanliness that there was some confusion about, and hopefully, we can probably carry this over into the Sabbath, but I do want to still make sure that we understand this today. Deuteronomy 7th chapter and the 6th verse.
For thou art an holy people unto Yah thy Elohim. Yah thy Elohim have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So Yah chose us to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And Yah said, you are an holy people. Therefore, everything that we do in life have to be governed by the laws, the statutes, the commandments, the precepts, and the commandments of Yahweh. When we go aside from that and start doing our own thing, that's where we get lost in the interpretation of things. That's why the Almighty says to trust in Yah with all of your heart. And do what? Lean not to your own understanding. Because see, everybody's going to have their own little understanding on what I think about this, what I think about that. But when you trust in Yahweh, and when you trust in Yahweh's formulas that he give you, then that will help you to stay on the straight and narrow path. And that's one of the things that I've seen throughout the years is when you get people to go out varying in different directions and start, and this is one of the reasons why I trust this ministry. I trust the ministry of Moreh Elisha. I trust the ministry of Moreh Dan. And when I say I trust their ministry, I trust the things that they have taught us. And I'm not saying they were right about every single thing. People got their differences about things, but for the majority of what we have been taught here, I trust in that. And what I've seen throughout the course of history, throughout being in this class, is that when people start to veer off in different directions, that they start to lose faith in Yahweh and start using it, because that's one of the things that we were taught, to give Yahweh the benefit. When in doubt, give Yahweh what? The benefit of the doubt. And that way that and it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So one of the things I want to reiterate is that Yah said we are a holy people unto him. And Yah chose us to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Let's go down to the 9th verse. It says, go ahead, King, read that for me, please.
Know therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful Elohim.
Yah is the faithful Elohim, Sister Janiyah. Go ahead.
Which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him.
Which keeps covenant and mercy with them that do what?
Love him.
Love him and do what?
Keep
And keep his commandments. See, when you love God and keep his commandments, he's going to keep mercy, and he's going to be faithful unto you, and he's going to keep mercy unto you. But then when you start saying, well, I'm going to do my own thing, then that's when you start to jeopardize your mercy. You start to jeopardize the great mercy that Yah have for you. And that's why the scripture says, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Sometimes we let mercy and truth forsake us because we don't obey Yahweh. And all that mercy he got stored up for us, we just forsake it. Because we don't be obedient to the Most High. We don't trust in the Most High. 10th verse says what?
And repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will pay him to his face.
And then when they say that hate him, sometimes we think that we smarter than the Almighty. Sometimes we want to come up with our own remedies when God already gave us the remedy. And that's part of the problem that man has and man have had throughout the years. But that's why we as the servants of Yah, we have to just trust in Yah with all thy heart, lean not to your own understanding, and all your ways knowledge him. In other words, if you want to know the answer to something, you go and ask him. And he will direct your path. Let's go to Leviticus 11. Leviticus, the 11th chapter. Because the Almighty wants us to be as holy as possible. Now we know we are in a defiled land. We know that that we are not completely cleansed, number one, of our iniquities. But y'all want and not cleansed even physically. But y'all want us to still try our best. So in other words, like if you go into your house after going outside playing and you try to go into the refrigerator, what mama gonna tell you? Wash your hands. Because mama wants cleanliness. Yahweh wants cleanliness. Yahweh wants us to be clean to the best of our ability. And when we not clean, we what? We defile. Let's go to 11, or we unclean. Leviticus 11 and 43. And to be unclean don't always mean that it's a death sentence. To be unclean don't always mean that it's the end of the world. It just means that you're not in the state of cleanliness like God wants you to be. So when we talk about coming to our holy convocations, we got to be very clear that Yah has specific guidelines for that. Number one, he wants us to be clean physically. When he talk about issues, Yah ain't never told nobody who got an issue to come to no holy convocation. That's the one thing. Somebody suffering from an issue. And then also Yah even said from a spiritual standpoint, he don't even want us bringing no mental issues in here. No mental burdens in here. He wants us to be clean and stay clear of all of that. So that when we come in, we can stay focused mentally with the right spirit on his word. With the right spirit, we ain't worried about the bill collectors. We ain't worried about what so-and-so said about me. We ain't worried about what so-and-so did about me. You got a clear mind. Like today, I'm coming to serve my Yah. All that other stuff we throwing out the door today. All the other problems that we got, all the misunderstandings, all the hatred. Today is not the day to deal with that. There comes a time when you got to clear the path for all the other stuff so that you can have a clear mind and just focus on where the Almighty wants your mind to be. And that's the same way with us when with our uncleanliness. Where we at? Leviticus what? 11 and 43. Read that, please.
Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creeps. Neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby.
So there's certain things that Yah don't want us to eat so that we won't be defiled thereby. There's certain things that Yah want us to eat so that our bodies, like they say, yeah, your body is your what? Temple, they say. You know, we sort of keep ourselves as clean as possible, as disease-free as possible. And what we people don't realize is that the laws that Yah gave us for uncleanliness in a lot of situations was meant to keep our bodies in a state of cleanliness, inside and outside. And that's why when we had people that were unclean, they were to be separated. Yahweh had a system of quarantining things, of quarantining people when they were in certain situations, when they were in certain states. Let's go to the book of Leviticus, the 18th chapter real quick. And there's certain things that we can do that can make us unclean. Leviticus 18, and I'm going to go to the 18th verse. It says, neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister, to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. In other words, you're not supposed to take a wife. If you marry the one sister, you're not supposed to go marry the other sister, to vex her. 19th verse. that causes confusion, that causes vexation, that causes hard feelings that can never be resolved sometimes. 19th verse says what?
Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness.
So we're not supposed to approach a woman to uncover her nakedness. In other words, when a woman is even on her nakedness, let her be off to herself. Don't even start fondling with her and playing around with her and all that, because it can lead to things that you don't want them to lead to. So don't even approach unto her to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. 20th verse.
Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife, to defile thyself with her. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire of Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy Elohim, I am Yah.
So we're not supposed to let none of our seed pass through the fire. And this is something that our people did throughout the years, and the heathen did throughout the years. They believed that sacrificing a little baby would take away their sins. Would be that little baby will be the intercessor for them and for their sins. When the truth of the matter, we all going to stand before our Creator one day, and there's not going to be nobody that can save you from that judgment. The Almighty is going to judge each and every one of us, and He's going to judge us according to the things you did when you walked this earth. Judge you according to your heart, according to give you according to the ways and according to the fruit of your doings, according to the things that you did. What verse we in? 22.
Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind. It is an abomination.
So in other words, a man is not supposed to lie down and have relationships with another man as he would with a woman. It is an abomination. These are things that defile us. These are the things that defile the nations of the earth. These are things that Yahweh detests. He said it's an abomination. 23rd verse.
Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto.
So a woman ain't supposed to be laying down with no beast. A man or a woman. Neither shall thou lie down with any beast. To what? To what?
To lie down thereto, it is confusion.
No, you should not lie down with any beast to do what? To defile. See, there are certain things that defile us. There are certain things that defile Yahweh's place of worship. There are certain behaviors and certain things that are acceptable in your house, but they're not acceptable in Yahweh's house. There's certain behaviors that we do in our own houses, in our own bedrooms, that we're not to bring into the congregation of Yahweh, because this is not the place for that. That make sense? Certain thoughts we not to have when we come to the congregation of Yahweh. And if you do have a thought, try to ask Yahweh, Yahweh, please get this thought out of my mind. I think everybody has had a thought before in their life that they ain't supposed to have. But that's where you meditate on. Y'all read a psalm. You read a psalm, it counters all that stuff out. Where we at? 24.
Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these things the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
So you defile not yourself in any of these things. And the main word that I want to focus on is defile. Now I want you to go to the book of Leviticus, the 15th chapter. And see, what happens is that people start to complain and say, well, why can't we do this? That person do that, or that congregation do that. Well, we can't do it. See, that's what Saul did. Saul hearkened to the people. That's what caused the Almighty to reject Saul. And that's why when you teaching the word of Yah, you got to teach it faithfully. Just like when you're at home dealing with your children. I don't care what the other children down the street are doing. You know, we in this household, you can't stay out past, you ain't going to be staying out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you 12 years old. Those are the rules of my household. So every place has to have their rules that they set. You and your household have to have rules. As you govern your children, you have to have rules. And I think sometimes the rules that are set for people may be too strict, but they're the rules of Yahweh. Let's go to Leviticus 15. But we still just have to try to do our best to serve y'all the best we can. Let's go to Leviticus, the 15th chapter. Because as I stated earlier, laws of uncleanliness have always been, throughout the years that I can remember, people, they just don't stick with people, right? Am I right or am I wrong? It's a subject that just can't, that is difficult to stick. So we have to constantly just revisit it more. And the reason why it don't stick is because we're in a land of confusion that lets you know that, oh, it's okay to have relations with your wife, with your girlfriend. Just put a towel under it. Just do that. I mean, they just say any old kind of thing. Just do this when she's on her uncleanliness. And I don't even want to go into some of the stuff people say, but y'all already know with the mindsets of people. Leviticus 15:1. Let's start there.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath a running issue out of his flesh, because of his flesh he is unclean.
He is what? Unclean. So a man can have a running issue too. Issues are not just specific to women. A man can have a running issue. Third verse.
And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue. It is uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that has the issue is unclean, and everything wherewith he sitteth shall be unclean. And whosoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes.
Whosoever touches his bed. So people might say, well, he had his clothes on. What difference will it make? Whosoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes and what? And bathe himself in water and what?
Be unclean.
And be unclean to the even. Keep going. And when they say be unclean to the even, that was being unclean for ceremonial purposes. For the sake that, you can be at your house and you can be unclean and it's not necessarily an issue. But the Almighty, when we talk about coming to the congregation, coming to the sanctuary, that's a whole different situation. That's a whole different subject. Keep going. On the day of a holy convocation. Go ahead.
He that sitteth on anything whereon he sat, that have the issue, shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And he that touches the flesh of him that has the issue, shall wash his clothes, and shall bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. If he that has the issue spit upon him that is clean.
So in other words, if somebody have an issue and they spit upon you, and generally when somebody have an issue, it's because of some uncleanliness, and that's why when a woman is on her cycle, she's going through a state of uncleanliness, and her body is just purifying itself. That's all it means. It don't mean that she going to hell. It don't mean that she's a bad or wicked person. It just means that the Almighty gave her a purifying system, an automatic system in her body to where when her reproductive system gets to a certain state, it purifies itself. That's all that means. And while it's purifying itself, it's getting rid of things that are considered waste. And that's why a man is not to, that's why it says that if a man lie with a woman, or if her flowers be upon you, you shall be unclean 7 days. Because she's going through a situation where her body is just cleansing itself. That's all. Keep going. And so we just read the 8th verse, and I was saying about that, about if a man that has a person that has an issue spit on somebody. See, this is where our quarantine come in, and this is where we talk about the exchange of bodily fluids. And that's why I've always rejected the notion when they say that AIDS can be transferred by a kiss. I always rejected that notion. Because the Almighty lets you know right here that if somebody got some kind of issue, if they spit upon you, there's a chance that they can be transferred. That's why you unclean. 9th verse. Does that make sense to y'all though? You know that they used to say that years ago, they might have changed it up now, but that never made sense to me when they said somebody that AIDS, you can kiss a person that got AIDS and it's not transferable. I never bought that for 1 minute. Because y'all let you know if a person is just merely unclean, that transfer of bodily fluids could possibly contaminate you with something. 15:9.
And the saddle soever he rides upon, that hath the issue shall be unclean.
Because number one, when there's uncleanliness, I know we believe we got clothes on, right? But there's bacteria. And there's certain fungal and bacteria things that come as a result of uncleanliness. And that's why he said even the saddle that a person sits on during that time is unclean. Go ahead.
And whosoever touches anything that was not on him shall be unclean until the evening. And he that bears any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening.
Okay, we're going to skip down some. Let's go down to the book of, let's go down to the to the 16th verse.
And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him,
And everybody know what the seed of copulation is. The seed of copulation is when your body excretes fluids from your private parts. And that could be doing intercourse, or it could be doing what they call a wet dream. And I'm just gonna keep it real and tell y'all look at all kind of TV that they say much worse than that. So we gotta keep it real and help people to understand what this means. But when the seed of copulation comes from a man or a woman, then he shall what? Wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening. And all that's saying is that when you do that, that don't mean that you can't live your life normally, that you can't have time with your spouse and all of that. But that's just saying that during the time when it's time to approach unto Yahweh's tabernacle or into his sanctuary, there are certain things that you don't do prior to doing that. Keep going.
and every garment and every skin wherein is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water.
So if it get on the pillowcase, that pillowcase got to be clean. If it get on that comforter got to be clean. I don't care if that comforter do cost $25 a wash, or if it can't fit in your washing machine, that comforter is unclean. So don't sleep on that comforter on the Sabbath day. I'm saying wash it, and I ain't gonna get into people cleanliness habits, but I'm just saying, you just don't sleep on it on that Sabbath day, the day before that Sabbath. I ain't getting into none of the rest, because some people say, I'll put it in a bag and save it, and then don't sleep on the Sabbath and bring it back out after. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, people come up with all kind of stuff. That's why it says there are many inventions in a man's heart. You know what I mean? But just try your best to use your best. Man, and that's why when you start to understand and read the word of Yah and study it, you begin to understand what's acceptable. And then you start to make modifications in your life. You know what I mean? You say, we're going to take the comforter off next time because it costs too much to get it washed. Or I'm just saying, there's just certain things you got to do that you learn to do. Does that make sense? Certain things that you learn to do to try to make sure that you fall in line with Yahweh's laws. Don't be getting it all on the carpet. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And if you do, you better get a scrub brush. I'm just saying. Y'all with me, right? The seed of copulation. You got to make measures. Get a scrub brush and scrub it up. Keep going.
The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening.
Okay, let's go down to the 19th verse.
If a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lies upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sits upon shall be unclean.
So everything she sit upon shall be unclean. Go ahead.
And whosoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And whosoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And if it be on her bed or anything wherein she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days.
And her flowers be upon him, he shall what? So in other words, that's why you're supposed to even separate yourself. You really should not be in the same bed with that woman when she's on her uncleanness. You can sleep on the floor. That's what we used to do, or sleep on the couch. Let that woman go through her state of purification. And this is what you do when you really, when you understand like cleanliness from uncleanliness. Well, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You learn to separate cleanliness from uncleanliness. And also, I'm going to say this to the women as well, whether you're here or listening out on the internet. It's also the responsibility of the woman, if you're in the house, to try to make sure that you safeguard your items to where you contain whatever items that you have that are unclean, to make sure that you try to safeguard them and separate them yourself. Was that the discreet enough way to put it? Just whatever it is, So now what I want to do is I want to just cut through the chase, and I want to go down to the 31st verse. We can pick this up another time, talking about uncleanliness, but I want to make some clear points. 15 and 31.
Thus shall ye separate from children of Israel from their uncleanness.
Thus shall you separate the children of Israel from what?
Their uncleanness.
From their uncleanliness, that they what?
Die not with their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle.
When they defile my tabernacle that is among them. Now we know that was talking about the tabernacle of the congregation that was among them, among our people. But we also know, and there's a script somewhere that talks about in the sanctuaries as well. I have to find it. I thought I had it marked out. I'll look on I'll bring it up on this Saturday. But the bottom line is that when we come to a place that's holy, and to a place and we consider this place holy. This place might not be the place in Jerusalem. We still might be in America. We had, but we try to be as holy as we can be. We try to be as separated and as clean as we can be for the conditions that we're in. And it says, thus shall ye separate. Separate is the key word. So even if we have a situation where people have traveled and went out of town, if you travel and went out of town and you're unclean, you just stay in your hotel room for the holy convocation. And I know some people may say, we've been in some situations where we've been at remote places, and they say, well, the unclean women can be here, but they can just sit over there. You're not separating them. That's not separating them. Because ultimately they're ultimately going to be using the same restrooms. You understand what I'm saying? We had one situation, we had a conversation, we're going to save this one toilet for the women. That's not the way you do things. And the problem is that sometimes people are just afraid to tell people no. And sometimes we have to just let them know, like, we just can't do that. We got to do our best to keep the law of Yahweh. And it's not anything bad. You're not a bad person because you're unclean. You're just unclean. That's all. So maybe we have to put more discussions around things. And I know that uncleanliness period is a very, very tough situation. And I think we need to start coming together and have more conversations about that. Because I've even started to think about things, and I think about things just like with the hospitals. I think about those things. And I do know that, I've been doing some research myself, on the hospitals, and we've been trying to make a determination is every time somebody, we know that when a person passes away, there's something that comes off of their body, because they're giving up what they call the ghost, right? Or whatever they are passing from, that goes up into the air as a gas that's emitted, right? So the thing about it is that we got to be very careful because there's certain uncleanlinesses that come even from there. So I've been trying to do study because, some people have professions in the medical field. Some people have, things where they work in hospitals, as well. We have to go to emergency rooms sometimes. And I've been trying to evaluate that, and I've been doing a lot of research on that. Like, where do the majority of the passings happen at? Are they in the emergency room? And the funny thing about it is a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. People don't understand that they're not. So we're trying to do research on that, and we're trying our best to come up with the most practical solutions that we can to try not to hold people back from serving Yahweh. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to hold people back from serving Yahweh at all. I don't want to be held back from serving Yah. But at the same time, I guess as we stand up here and teach things, you got to be careful. When Yahweh give you a direction, to teach something, just like he told Saul to destroy everything. And Saul did not destroy everything. He hearkened to the people because he was afraid of them. And he gave a different direction, and God rejected him because of that. So what I'm saying about that and about those situations, we just have to be very careful. In a person in my position when I get up here and teach. Now I know I done talk uncleanness, and I know some people just ignore them. I know people that went to many events and whatever. It is what it is. And I'm just saying those people have to deal with the Most High, and I have to deal with the Most High for what I teach. So I'm trying my best to, as we teach these things, try to use as much practicality as we can as well. And if we have to make some kind of modifications to where we say, maybe we build another wing or something, and the unclean, I don't know. Unclean people go over there and they separate it. I'm just saying these are conversations that we have to have. Or we partition that wall as you go upstairs, let them go upstairs or something, let them go in a place where nobody's going to be. I'm just saying these things because we have to find solutions, right? We have to find solutions, but we cannot avoid the law of Yahweh. We can't get up here and teach against what Yahweh say. And I would rather err on the side of being on what Yahweh say than to get up here and teach something the opposite of what Yah say, and then he come and punish me for it. That's all I'm saying. So one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to, it's one thing to do what you do, but it's also another thing to come and say that you speaking for Yahweh and you speaking something against what he commanded. So I'm just saying we just got to be careful, that's all. We got to be careful. We got to talk these things out. And it's not the end of the world. Whatever problems we have, we should be able to work them out. We should be able to talk about them and negotiate them and pray to the Most High. No problem that we have should ever cause hard feelings to the point to where we now can't stand each other and we hate each other in our heart. That's not the spirit of Yahweh. The spirit of Yahweh do not cause people to hate their neighbor. That's another spirit. The spirit of Yahweh is peace. And I want you all to think about that because as we approach this Day of Atonement, I hope that we consider that. And like I said, for me, if anybody needs to talk to me or we need to have a one-on-one on anything to resolve any issues, my door is open. My phone line is open. Pull me aside. Maybe not on a Sabbath day, but let's have a conversation to see how we can move forward. See how we can love and respect one another. And I want you all not to only consider that with me, but also with your other brothers and sisters. People stop coming to Sabbath service and when this person made me mad and that girl rolled her eyes at me, and come on now. Are you here for Yahweh or are you here for something else? We're supposed to be able to move forward on things. With that being said, I'm going to say praise Almighty Yah. I hope we can think about that. And I hope that we also consider, go to Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. What the brother said earlier today about Yahweh being merciful unto the merciful. If you're not merciful, you ain't got nothing coming. That's what Dan used to always say. You ain't going to be merciful, then what you got coming? When it comes time for Yahweh to show mercy on you. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 7. Class, Ecclesiastes 7. Oh yeah, this is good. Ecclesiastes 7 and 16. It says, be not righteous, be not righteous over much, neither make yourself over wise. And that's something we can't do. We can't make ourselves over wise. There has to be a balance. So he said, don't try to be too over wise, but don't be over much wickedness. Be not over much wicked, the 17th verse. Neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? It is good that thou shouldest take hold of this, yea, also from this withdraw not thy hand. For the fear of Elohim shall come forth of them all. So those that fear Yah, man, you're going to always prevail. Bottom line. Fear Yah, you're going to prevail. You cannot go wrong by fearing Yah. And I'm sure everybody in this room fear Yah. If not, we wouldn't be here. We got certain levels of fear of Yah. We just got to get better. And then it ain't no race between me and you. It ain't no race between you and him, her and her. It's a race between you and yourself. That's where the race is at. 19th verse. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men which were in a city. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise. The fear of Yah strengtheneth the wise. Applying the principles of wisdom that he gave us in these proverbs strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men in a city. For there is not a just man upon this earth that doeth good and sinneth not. Is there anybody in this room that ain't gonna sin? So why are we tooting our nose up at somebody else when they do something? There is not a just man upon this earth that doeth good and sinneth not. Then it says 7:21. Also, take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself hast likewise cursed others. So if you hear somebody talking about you, it ain't the end of the world. Somebody said something about me, it ain't the end of the world. How many times you done said something about somebody? Huh? So that's why I said take no heed to all words and don't even let it get to you. Somebody always gonna be talking about you whether you're doing bad or whether you've been doing good. Somebody always gonna have their name in your mouth, your name in their mouth, whether you're doing bad or good. We talk about people every day. And we shouldn't be talking bad about people. But some things you just gotta let go. It says, take no heed to all words that are spoken, lest you hear your servant. When you listen to every little thing, being nosy, listen, then you're gonna hear somebody say, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna hear somebody say something, and and you can't get offended because somebody's saying something about you. And if you heard something you didn't like, go have a conversation with that person. That's the way Israel deals with things. I thought I heard you say I was a sunbucket. Is that true? Did I hear that right? Or was I, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, but the thing is that don't take heed to all words that are spoken. Don't be so easily offended over everything. Because if there was a tape recorder playing back everything you said, oh, boy, we'd be mighty surprised. Oh, I said that? I did that? So that's why we should also try to have mercy on other people. We all sin. The next person gonna sin. We supposed to work together, love one another. And let's move forward and praise Almighty Yah. How about that? Hallelujah! 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 Praise Almighty Yah. One more time. Hallelujah! Don't be getting all shy now. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. I guess we are done with our service for today. Were there any questions or comments that anybody had before we close out? You said no, we ready to eat. No, go ahead, brother. No, just let people say what they want to say.
Oh, praise to the mighty Yah.
Hallelujah.
I just have one question, I guess, right there,
Speak up a little bit, bro.
I love the Most High, man. I trust the Most High, and I thank Yah for all His wonderful blessings, but I know a lot of times I don't deserve it. For some reason, Yah continue to show me mercy and love and kindness, and He provides me with food, clothes, and shelter. He always makes a way out, always. I can't get into some of it right now, but my main question is, I think a lot of it had to do with my level of trust that I have in the Most High. But my question is, I'm trying to figure out how how the children of Israel will be able to keep the seasons and the times, as far as like the new moons, without the internet and cell phones and communicating with people in Jerusalem. You know, because I'm under the impression that I just go by the lights wherever I'm at on the planet, and that's how I determine my times and my seasons. So for a long time, that's my main question. I ain't confused now. How will the children of Israel, when the cell phones is off and the computers are off, and we can't send nobody to Jerusalem, how will we continue to keep the times? Praise my Yah. We can answer it later if something you want to.
I'll answer it right now. Thank you. Number one, our people, as long as we've always existed, human intelligence always existed. So even back when we were in our land, that's why back when we were in our land, that scripture in Samuel said, tomorrow is the new moon. Because they had ways that they knew when the Almighty's rotation worked. They could do approximations, or they understood science. They understood things like that. And just like today, man understands science. So another thing I was saying last week about how people, and the science that man understands right now is so intelligent that it's unbelievable. How the heck can we get up in an airplane and fly? And I don't know how many of y'all flew recently, but I'm just saying that's just absolutely amazing. Airplanes are amazing. Amazing. Cars are amazing, but airplanes are absolutely amazing. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that the Almighty has always given man and those that want to know the ability and the intelligence to find out and to understand what He wants us to know. So what I'm saying is that while we have technology, we'll make use of it. And in the time that we don't have technology, then we'll come up with a backup plan and figure out what we're going to do then. But like you said, Yah keeps making what? A way out. And He's making a way out now, and He's going to make a way out if we don't have those things and when we don't have those things. Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Giving all honor to Yah, who is head of my life and gives me great joy. I just want to make I wrote down some comments that I wanted to make as you guys were presiding, teaching. But we got to trust in Yah. He said not to lean onto our own understanding. So a lot of us can't remember before we had cell phones. But we communicated. We went to each other and we talked with each other. And you could go and look in the sky. We were agricultural people, so we knew those times, those seed times and those harvest times. And we were able to govern ourselves by that because we trusted in Yah's word before we got all of this technology. And Yah, we just got to trust that He's not going to leave us hanging. He never has. And that's one of my comments. He is an Elohim that remembers. He's the one that told us to have a memorial of the blowing of the trumpet. Because He says, when you blow them, I'm going to remember my covenant. And I'm going to come and help you. So, and that was a strong thing for me because I uttered some words out of my mouth when I was a young child. But I'm confident right now that He remembered. He heard it, and He remembered those words, which is why I'm here to this day. We have an Elohim that keeps covenants to 1,000 generations. So He remembers. So when He told us to have a memorial, that was because He remembered. And He wants us. He made the Sabbath. He shared it with us because of His love. He wants us to remember the Sabbath day and do everything that He does. That's how we're holy in His sight. That's how we're blessed. That's how we're protected. And the leaning onto your own understanding makes you say, well, how are we going to keep it if we ain't got the phone and we ain't got the... You leaning on your own understanding. Trust in Yah.
Trust in Yah by going by the lights.
Right, the lights in the sky. But anyway, I didn't...
And the lights in the sky were seen.
Right.
The lights in the sky were seen. And let me just say this as well. We can talk about this a little later because there's been a lot of, number one, developments that have been made over the times. Just with everything. How can you communicate with somebody when they take away Facebook? You got Facebook, you got email, you got text messages, you got all kind of ways that man used to communicate things with one another. And I'm just saying that while we have those things available, then we have to discuss and understand what the formula is, number one, of how we determine our new moons, and maybe we need to do we'll do another class on that. But you asked a good question. I'm not saying that that's I think that's a good question. You know, I think that's a good question, but at the same time, you have to be open to willing to accept the answer as well. You can't just answer a question with it in your mind, you answer it as rhetorical, like I'm telling you that you're wrong. You have to be willing to accept people's explanations too. And we have to be willing to work through things. You know, if it's something that you disagree on, let's have a private conversation about it. But I guarantee you that the formula that we've been going through, it has been vetted over the course of about 5 or 6 years now. And we have been on time ever since. And I think y'all's blessing us because we're showing that we're able to put our differences aside with even people who believe that that we have differences on it day and night. And we're coming together on this one topic that as we work together, the Almighty has caused us to be successful because we are trying to gather ourselves together and work with our brothers and sisters and stop letting things divide us. That's one of the things that Satan does. See, Yahweh wants his people to gather. Satan wants to split apart. And that's what we have to keep in mind, that we always have to have in our mind. I'm going to let Abigail finish, but I got something I wanted to read to you. No, yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Abigail. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Because while you guys were talking, y'all brought another thing. You don't know what I took from you. How many times have one of us said, wow, I was just thinking about you before the phone rang and it was you. Or before you walked in the door and it was you. We don't know how many types of degrees of knowledge that Yah has taken from us because we are in our defiled state. We may have been able to communicate with each other mentally. We don't know. Right, by trusting in Yah. Because I was just thinking about you and you walked in. Wow, or you called. It was almost like I thought your presence into existence. But that wasn't my comment. My comments were on different things. The one I shared about the memorial, a visual that I got as we were reading Leviticus 23 and 24 about the trumpet was Louis Armstrong, one of our great trumpet players. If you've ever watched this man in a close view, how large his jaws expand, that's a power. That's a honing of Yah's breath in our bodies that allow him to blow that trumpet. The average person can't blow
That's
a
okay.
trumpet.
She all right, Janiyah. Sorry, go ahead.
The average person can't blow a trumpet. But I wanted to comment on that.
That's right. I used to play the trumpet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do it now because it did take a lot of air to play the trumpet.
Right. The only
I
time
know what
I've
a trumpet
seen
is. I used to play
somebody
the trumpet.
jaws get that big is when they were having a reaction to something and their face swole up. But that's generally the only time you see our jaws get that big. But that's something. And then we went to Ezra, and all of us should try to model ourselves like Ezra, because Ezra set his heart, committed his heart on learning the laws and doing them. We commit ourselves into remembering stuff and remembering these systems for these computers and all of that. Commit your heart to learning Yah's laws and doing them. That's something we can do on our own or with Yah's help anyway. And then even today, no one remains in his place if it don't be for Yah. I don't care whether you are you have excelled and you got riches and all of this, they can fly away. The scripture tells us that.
That's true.
So we stay in our place and we keep our riches and we do this by being obedient. It's all connected, hand in hand. He gives you and he can take it away. Just that easy.
It's also a scripture. I don't care how much money you got, how much money you make. There's a scripture that says that he that earneth wages earneth them to put them in a bag with holes. So sometimes you can make $1 million and you can lose that $1 million just as quick as you made it. So the Almighty, I don't care. There's no way you can't outsight Yahweh. Right. You can outfaith man, but you can't outfaith Yahweh.
Right. And my last statement, and then here is on the mercy of Yah. And what I mean by that, yes, on the Sabbath we're not supposed to kindle a fire on our 7th day Sabbath. But at the same time, we had priests that continuously made a daily
It was a
sacrifice.
continual fire going on though.
Right, that fire was continuously going on. They didn't just light it on that day. So that brought my question or understanding, a reason for my confusion the other day was whether we could kindle a fire or not, because we got some holy days where we can't. But we need to know the ones that we can. And I'm glad that you went over that today to show that this was a holy day that we can kindle a fire on, but the confusion shouldn't have been there, definitely not for me, but for any of us who are meditating in these words. Because we can read it for ourselves, we just need to stop putting our spin on it.
Right, I think the problem is, can I just throw this in there? One of the problems is because we have our holy days only once a year. You know what I mean? It's like from the last year.
Right.
Can y'all let them know by the door that we still got service going on? So sometimes, Abigail, we forget because of it's been a whole year since we went over this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's why. But go ahead, though. Did you finish?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
All praise.
Brother Josiah?
Praise John. I ain't trying to answer this question or whatever, but I think it's good that we, because the scripture said we're going to be wise for ourselves. So it's good we got technology and everything, but I think it's very good for us to go to look for the new moons ourselves,
I agree.
because at the end of the day, that's what the Most High taught us to do. And it's like a month of Abib. A lot of people don't know what the month of Abib is and what we're supposed to look for. So them is things that we everybody should learn. Like, I'm gonna teach my son what the Abib is and what the new moon is. Not, not discrediting technology or discrediting looking for Jerusalem or none of that. But it's just he gotta know. Because if we just say, oh, well, we getting it from here, he like, well, what's that? You know what I'm saying? He don't know what to really look for, what the Most High put in the lights that he put in the sky. So the emphasis is on we teaching them about the ways of Yah, like what they looking for, so they can pass down to their son. Because Yahweh said, remember the days of old. Because it might be a time that we ain't gonna have this technology. Definitely with Jacob's trouble hit and martial law and stuff like that, we still gonna have to recognize our new moons and feast days and stuff like that. So if people not out there going to look for them, they self and just, like you said, Yahweh gonna make a way out. And you might be off track because in Cincinnati, you can't see it, but you know it's gonna be 29, 30 days. You know what I'm saying? But Yahweh gonna clear all that up. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think it's, just for teaching people.
So let me clarify something real quick. I want to clarify something. Supposedly, because sometimes I might go out and look for the new moon, but you might not go out and look at the new moon. Somebody over and I don't know what side it shows best on, but I think Westwood maybe. In some places you can see the moon better than in other regions that you live in here. So just because my wife saw the new moon and my son saw the new moon, but I didn't, don't mean the new moon didn't come. I just didn't see it that much. And the reason why we deal with the people in Jerusalem, number one, is because of the different time zones that have always caused problems. Well, we didn't see it in Texas, and we didn't see it in Georgia, but then so we're not going to call it. Then 3 hours later, somebody in California see it. 3 or 4 hours later, somebody, and that's why we determined that region over there in Israel would be the region that we would look for the new moon as a unified set of people because of the confusion it is caused. Now, let me say this as well. We do know, just like how we deal with computers, right? Before, how many of y'all remember like Y2K? What did they do when Y2K came? When Y2K came, what they did is that they said, okay, if the computers crash, we're going to resort back to what? Manual methods, right? So it's the same way that we deal with the new moon. So instead of being able to track it on an app or go to the Naval Observatory, we still have to be able to track those things. We know it's going to come about every 29 or every 30 days, right? So during that time, we still have to go look for it. And what I'm saying is that there's no, in Jerusalem, the same moon that's in Jerusalem is the same moon that's here. It's just that they see the new moon 6 hours earlier than we see it. That's another reason, that's another way that we use that to our advantage so that we can let people know, go ahead and take off work tomorrow versus waiting at 9 o'clock at night. You understand what I'm saying? It's the new moon, it's the new moon.
I'm not disproving.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you are. No, I'm not saying you are at all, but I wanted to clarify that for Ariel. I think he walked out, but you gotta be, if you ask a question, you gotta put yourself in a situation to be able to hear and receive what's being taught as well. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is in Exodus 35 was a good point that somebody brought up, and I talked to somebody about that earlier, about kindling a fire on the Sabbath day. When the scriptures talked about kindling a fire on the Sabbath day, it was specifically talking about Yahweh's seventh day, Sabbath day. And I'm going to read that, Exodus 35:1. It says, "And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together, and said unto them, These are the words which Yah hath commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of rest to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day." It was specifically talking about Yah's seventh day Sabbath. And that's the only place that I've ever read that you're not to kindle a fire. So we know that certain other holy days, like this holy day, is a little different. Because he said, don't do no servile work. He said on the Day of Atonement, the Day of Atonement is more stricter than the regular Sabbath. Don't do no manner of work. In other words, don't be going to fix a bowl of cereal. Don't be going to make certain things that you just narrow it down what you do on that day. Now, what reason would you have to kindle a fire on the Day of Atonement anyway? Even though it don't specifically say it. You ain't supposed to be smoking no weeds or no cigarettes. You ain't supposed to be eating because all those things are forbidden. So what else you gonna kindle a fire for? If you gotta turn the heat up in your house, is that wrong? I'm not gonna say that. But number one, it's not a time that we even use heat on the Day of Atonement. So that's another thing. I mean, so certain things we can eliminate by virtue of do we do it anyway? Do we use it anyway? So I just wanted to bring that out, that not kindling the fire was specific to Yah's seventh day Sabbath. Yes, ma'am.
Shalom again. I just thought about one thing that sisters really should almost have a heads up in men, because that new moon, the cycle of that moon expected every month, about every 28, every 29 days, it's the same purification cycle that Yah has female cycles on. Every about 27, 28 days, that cycle is going to start almost like clockwork until you get into menopause and different things like that. But it goes along with our unclean cycle. It's almost the exact same thing. You can tell your new moon almost by your wives or your daughter's cycles. Every 28 days is supposed to come around. If it doesn't, even for the young ladies, if it doesn't come that time, you might need to watch it. You might need to go to a doctor, because the body is designed
And I don't want to get into y'all personal business, but everybody's cycling at the same time, right?
No, they're not at the same time, but they're still on that 28.
Okay. Did I misinterpret what she said? It ain't none of my business, so let's just forget it. But y'all got what she was saying, right? All right? That's why they have women teachers too, to help teach the women. Things that men supposed to stay out of, right? All right. One last thing, and I promise this is it. Recipes for unity as we go toward our Day of Atonement. Always put the laws of Yah first, number one. Love yourself first. Love your neighbor as yourself, as Yah commanded. Focus on personal righteousness. Seek personal meekness and humility. Keep a spiritual mindset. Always be willing to forgive. Accept and acknowledge personal faults, your personal faults, while you evaluate other people's personal faults. Remain dedicated to peace. Good leaders accept that people have different personalities. So we got to remember people have different personalities. Just because she didn't speak to me today, or she may have had something on her mind. It ain't like I'm going to hold it to her forever, but if she's not speak to me 10 times, I'm like, yeah, she got a problem. Remain dedicated to peace. Have a just balance. I read that. Keep honesty and integrity in the forefront of your heart and mind. Keep a consistent character even as you move through change. So even as you move through change, try to be the same person. Y'all said meddle not with a man that's given a change. And always remain what? positive. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We give all thanks and praises to the mighty Yah for this great day, for this great season, the ability to come before him with thanksgiving, and the ability to call on his name. The Feast of Trumpets was designed for two things. Number one, for us to blow the trumpets when Yah wanted to gather his people together. So when Yahweh wanted to meet with us, blow the trumpet so Yahweh can meet with us. And then the second thing is when we went out to war and we wanted to be saved from our enemies. That was a tool we used to blow our trumpets and say, Yah, help us. We need you, Yah. Do-do-do-do-do. Yah came in one time and made our enemies start turning their swords against each other.
Right.
Y'all remember that? With Gideon, he made our enemies start fighting each other. They was coming out to war against us. We blew the trumpet, and Yah gave them the spirit to where they just started fighting one another and start killing one another. So with all those things being said, we want to thank Yah for this day. Let us rise and face the east. Is there anyone that would like to give the prayer for today? Brother Micah, would you like to say a prayer today? All right, hallelujah.
Yeah.
And we want to thank our elders. We want to thank our visitors. It's always glad to see you, Ms. Glass, as usual. We love you. And you're welcome anytime. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Heavenly Father, Yah, thank you for gathering us today to see another beautiful day, to be able to celebrate today the Feast of Trumpets and give honor and glory to you and only you, Yah. We ask you, Yah, that this food that has been prepared before us, that it be good and nourishing to our bodies and our souls. We ask you, Yah, to continue to be with us, guide us, bless us, and protect us, Yah, and be our shield every day, always. In your holy name, we pray. Hallelujah.
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 Praise
Praise the mighty
Yah.
Yah.
Yah is righteous and